Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the MHA What If with another fanfiction. This is the move of, what if Deku wasn't the only one hurting? All credits for this video go to their respective authors, so please support the real author. Check out the link in the description for more details. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. I stared off again into space again. And I thought dangerous thoughts again. About him. About how I was kidnapped by the League. I've lost so much sleep over it I could fall asleep right now. I was going to as well. Until the lunch bell rang. I stayed in the classroom, while everyone else took their leave. When they were all long gone I stood up and left in the other direction, to the bathrooms. I hadn't eaten in days and I didn't want to start again anytime soon. When I got to the bathroom I made sure no one was in there and I got out my small knife and rolled my long shirt sleeves, revealing my arms with several healing cuts. I cut more, watching the blood flow from my skin into the cold floor. I cried. I cried because I deserved it. For bullying Deku those years. For just being an obnoxious person in general. I took out my phone and checked the time. Lunch was almost over. I had to clean up the blood quickly. My arms stung as I washed off the remaining blood and pulled down my sleeves, leaving just as the bell rang. When everyone arrived, Aizawa just told us to do whatever as he got in his sleeping bag and slept. I just put my head down on my desk as everyone got into their groups of friends. I wished I had friends. I have Kirishima, Mina, Denki, and Siro, but they're probably faking. They don't really care. They're all talking amongst themselves now. Probably about me. I tried to push the thought aside. As I was sitting I felt a pair of eyes watching me. I don't dare to look up. All I can imagine is a worst-case scenario. Who could possibly be watching me? Is it someone who is in the classroom? Someone from out the window? Did Toga somehow sneak in? My breathing gets heavier as I keep thinking. Kirishima seems to notice as he speaks. Hey Baku bro, you alright? He didn't mean it. Anyone could have noticed. He wasn't worried. I thought, I'm fine. I tell him as my breathing gets heavier. I start to feel sick. Are you sure, bro? I nod. Stop asking stupid questions. I try to say with the usual fire in my voice. I hated that fire. I needed to leave. I felt myself getting sicker. I told myself. I stood up quickly, trying not to be so quick someone would notice. I left the classroom. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, which made it worse. I headed to the bathroom. What felt like my only escape. When I got there I immediately ran to a stall, closing and locking it. I fell to my knees and vomited. I threw up for who knows how long. It was because I hadn't eaten. My breathing was still heavy. Was someone watching me? Or was it my mind playing tricks on me? When I had finally stopped thinking about it and my breathing slowed, I heard the bathroom door open. Oh no. I thought. Please don't let them see me like this. Bakugo? Are you in here? I heard a familiar voice. Who is it again? Definitely not Kirishima or anyone. I saw you run in here. The voice said. It was Todoroki. What was Todoroki doing coming to check on me? Why did he, of all people, care? We were supposed to be rivals. He was probably faking it to get attention or something. I'm fine, icy hot. So if I yell quietly. You don't seem fine. He says with a bland voice. I said I'm fine. There was silence. Uncomfortable silence. I stood up and flushed the vomit-filled toilet and left the stall. Todoroki was still there. What are you still doing here? I tried to shout. I was just making sure you were all right. How many times do I gotta tell you I'm fine? Todoroki shrugs and leaves the bathroom. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm pathetic. Why did he have to be there? Why did anyone have to be there? He just wants attention. Look at me. I'm making excuses. What if he actually does care? No, he doesn't. No one would care about me. Tears start to form in my eyes and the sadness, for a split second, becomes anger. I hate myself for making it become anger. I punch the mirror in front of me, shattering it into pieces. My hand is bloody from the shards. I start to cry again. I have to get myself later for letting him see me so weak and pathetic like that. For making him worry. Why would he even worry about me? I clean the fresh blood off my knuckles and wipe my tears. I leave the restroom and walk back into class. I'm still at the door when I catch everyone's eyes on me. I gather up all the anger I can and shout, "What are you extras staring at?" They all turn back to talk amongst themselves. I sit down in my seat and lay my head down again. The bell rings and I sit back up. I grab my stuff and walk out of the classroom, waiting on no one and making sure no one can come talk to me. I hurry and get home before it's dark. I didn't want anything else to happen. I didn't want to get taken by the league again. I get home and my parents aren't there, as usual. They're usually out now. I close and make sure the door is locked. I throw my backpack on the couch and go upstairs into my room. I lay in my bed, under my blankets. I'm safe. I tell myself. I slip into an uneasy sleep, and I get a nightmare. I'm in the UA bathroom, silently cutting. The door bursts open and the league show up. You thought you were safe. Think again, Toga says. She seems to disappear into a crowd of people. The people being my classmates, who laugh at me for being weak and pathetic and doing this to myself. Everything fades black and all I can hear are their voices. I wake up with sweaty palms and heavy breathing. I'm fine. I am safe. Right? I check the time. It's 6 a.m. It's amazing how dreams can feel like minutes or eternity when in reality it was only for a few hours. I get up and get dressed, in my long-sleeved uniform, making sure it covers my cuts. One thing is for sure, I'm not going to the bathroom today. Todoroki's POV. I was watching Bakugo. He wasn't acting like himself. When he quickly left the classroom I knew something was up, so I went to check if he was all right. Bakugo? Are you in here? I ask. There's no response. I saw you run in here. I say. After a few long seconds he yells, I'm fine, icy hot so F off. It wasn't as loud as I'd expected. You don't seem fine. I say, no emotion in my voice. I said off, I'm fine. He still wasn't the loud Bakugo I know and tolerate. I just stood there for a few seconds, wondering if he were going to come out. It started to get uncomfortable. I heard the toilet flush and the sound of the stall unlocking. Bakugo came out looking a bit sick. What are you still doing here? He tried to shout. I could tell he was trying to be cocky and aggressive. For what? Why was he putting up this front? I was just making sure you were all right. I say, how many times do I gotta tell you I'm fine? I shrug and leave the bathroom, sighing. I stay out in the hall, listening in. After a few seconds I hear glass shatter. I gasp, small and almost inaudible. I look down and walk back into class. It isn't long before Bakugo walks back into the classroom. Everyone's eyes are on him, including mine. What are you extras staring at? He shouts. I turn back, continue talking to Midoriya, Ida, and Uraraka. He lays his head on his desk. Aizawa's POV never thought that would happen, but I think it would be best for this scene. The next day I comes into class. I want to sleep, but I have an announcement to make. Settle down, children. I have an announcement. Everyone looks at me, some with excitement, others with wonder. Because of the recent incident. I successfully try not to look at Bakugo. We will be adding dorms to the school. The students freak out. Dorms? Can all be roomies? Mina cheered to Uraraka, who cheered with her, getting all the girls to join. You'll get to choose who your dorm mate is. 2 to a dorm. Choose carefully. You move in by next week. Hey Sway, wanna be roomed with me? Mineta asked Azui. And before I forget, girls can only room with girls. Boys only with boys. I say, after hearing Mineta's question to Sway. So cruel. He says. Roomies? Denki asks Kirishima. You know it's bro. We'll have the manliest dorm out there. In the end, everyone had a dorm mate. Everyone except Bakugo and Todoroki. Well, I guess you two will be sharing a dorm. No way. I'm not sharing a dorm with stupid half-a-half. You're out of your mind. Bakugo tells me. Well, do you prefer to room with someone else? I sigh. Yeah. Myself. I'm afraid that isn't possible. Bakugo just hit his hand on the desk. No one was surprised by his reaction. I was planning on rooming with Midoriya, but he had already chosen to be roomed with Ida. My last few choices were Mineta, Bakugo and Sato. I wanted to see what was up with Bakugo. Since when was I worried about Bakugo? We were enemies. But even so, he seems off. He isn't acting himself, in a way. I decide I'm going to try talking to him after school. The bell rings signifying lunchtime. I get up and leave with Midoriya and friends, looking at Bakugo who quietly sits there watching as we all leave. When I'm sitting in the lunchroom, I look around but I can't seem to find Bakugo. Ida notices me looking around. Are you looking for something, Todoroki? Yes. Maybe I could be of some assistance. No, it's fine. I nervously laugh it off. We continue to eat, and the entire time Bakugo doesn't show up. Maybe he ate somewhere else. Thought to myself. When lunch is over, everyone is back in class. I look over at Bakugo who is laying his head on the edge of the table. Then Midoriya catches my attention. Hey Todoroki. Want to do a study group after school with me, Ida, and Momo? I want to talk to Bakugo but I can't say no. So I agree. I'll try to talk to him tomorrow. Only problem was he didn't show up. When Aizawa called attendance, he asked if anyone knew where Bakugo was. Kirishima raises his hand. He texted me that he wasn't going to be here today. Apparently he's really sick. There were worried looks and conversations. I hope he's alright. Hagakure said. It's Bakugo. A little sickness won't keep him away. He'll be back tomorrow, just watch. Kaminari said. I hoped he was right. I wanted to talk to him. Aizawa just continued to take attendance and started the lesson. I can't deny that the next day, when Bakugo came in, I was really happy. It almost looked like he was okay. But I could tell he wasn't. He wasn't speaking as loudly as usual. He wasn't yelling at all. Was I the only one that noticed? When did I start caring about Bakugo anyways? When did I start watching him? I shrugged the thoughts off. The important thing is he was okay. I tried to talk to him at lunch, but when I went to find him, he was nowhere to be found. I checked the cafeteria, bathrooms, classrooms. He wasn't anywhere. But he was in class after lunch. So where'd he go? I decide to wait and talk to him after school. I occasionally glance at him a few times in class. He doesn't seem to notice, gladly. No one does. When finished with school for the day, I make sure I'm the first to the front gate, so I don't miss him leaving. I wave goodbye to all the people I know who are leaving. Sometimes they stayed and talked more. During all that, Bakugo didn't show up. Did I miss him? Was there another exit? As far as I know, was only this one. I wait a few more minutes. Those minutes turned into an hour. I keep waiting. It'll be dark by the time I get home. What was he doing? Did I miss him? I try to wait for a few more minutes. I sigh. He isn't gonna show up. I probably did miss him. I start to walk and don't get 5 steps away before I hear a quiet voice behind me. Todoroki. It was Bakugo. I wasn't really sick. That's what I told Kirishima to get everyone not to worry. I'm glad it works. What I was really doing that missing day was sitting on the roof of a tall, semi-abandoned building, contemplating whether I should jump off. I decided against it and went home. I threw up at my house, so my mom told me to stay home for the day. When I came back to school the next day, I immediately caught a pair of eyes on me. Todoroki's. I tried not to make a scene, but I wanted him to stop staring at me. It was obvious he was doing so. I avoided him for the rest of the day, luckily, but then at the end of the day he was already at the front, waiting there, talking to people. Who was he waiting for? Why would I care? I was about to leave when I realized he might be waiting for me. To talk to me. I can't confront him. I decide to just wait for him to leave out of sight. A few minutes of waiting becomes 30 minutes. It'll be dark soon. I can't go in the dark. What if something happens with the league? I wait a few more minutes for him to leave. He finally does, but the sun is already beginning to set. I weigh my options. It's safer to go with somebody, especially if that somebody has a strong quirk. Todoroki is the perfect somebody. He starts to walk away, so I quickly gather the courage to go up to him. Todoroki, I say. He stops and turns around. When he sees me, he looks puzzled. I thought you'd left? I was waiting for you, he says. I scratch the back of my head. I know. You aren't exactly subtle. I was trying to avoid you. Why did I say that? If I may ask why? I stutter. I don't know what to say to him. Is it because of your mental state? What are you going on about, icy hot? I'm fine. Just walk me home. I say. Todoroki shrugs. Todoroki's POV. He called my Todoroki. He's never done that before. Now he wants me to walk him home. I don't know why I'm so excited. It's getting dark, he's probably scared. Wait, why would Bakugo Katsuki be scared? Of the dark no less. I shrug. So which direction is your house? Bakugo points. Let's go then. I say S&D, we start walking. The sky is fully covered in darkness. Even through that darkness I can see Bakugo edging closer to me. I think back. Oh, I get it now. Get what? Bakugo says. We're practically touching shoulders. It's too late to say nothing now. It's because you're scared about the League of Vil Dash. Shut up. Bakugo tells me. So I'm right. I said shut up. He says again. I'm just trying to help, and I'm interrupted again by the explosive boy. And I told you I'm fine. I'm not scared. His voice betrays him. He is clearly scared. And helping you included knowing what's wrong. It is the League, isn't it? No. Bakugo. It's fine, icy hot. We walked in silence for a couple of minutes before I get an idea. Fine then. I guess you won't mind if I leave you to walk the rest of the way by yourself. I turn around and start walking. Fine. Bakugo says. I walk for a few seconds. I don't get far before he caves. Wait. He says. I smile quickly before turning around to him, my smile disappearing. Swear not to tell anyone. I nod. Swear on your FNG life. I nod. On my life. Bakugo looks around and I catch up to him. We start walking to his house again. You're right. It's because of the League. You're scared? No. He said in instinct. I look at him, an eyebrow raised. He takes a deep breath. Just. Stuff happened. Stuff I never want to happen again. And they did things. I get it, but why are you scared to just walk home by yourself? They aren't going to come get you again, that's just stupid. Well, I guess they're stupid. Bakugo said, getting closer to Todoroki, he looked around, his breathing was getting heavy. Bakugo, what happened? Nothing. I looked at him and saw him shaking. Bakugo. He stopped. I looked at him closer and saw he was crying. Are you all right? I'm fine. He stuttered, let's keep going. Bakugo, you're not okay. No. This happens all the time. He spoke. I thought for a second. I remembered that something close to this has happened to me before. About Endeavor. Bakugo was having a panic attack. Bakugo listened to my voice. I told him. Tears just fell down his face as his breathing got heavier. He closed his eyes tight and fell on his knees. Bakugo. I try to think of something to say. I can't do what I usually do and be blunt. He'd probably freak out even more. I take a deep breath. I can't freak out right now. The situation would get worse. Bakugo, just listen to my voice. He doesn't respond. I can tell he is trying to focus. Just focus on my voice, okay? It isn't helping. I do the only thing I can think of. I wrap him in a tight hug, making sure he can hear my heartbeat. Focus on my heartbeat, okay? Breath along with me. Okay. He starts to calm down. He listens to me as I tell him he's fine. There's no danger. Eventually he calms down. I'm glad it doesn't take long because it's already dark. We walk the rest of the way to his place in silence. When we finally get there, I watch him walk to the door. Hey, half and half. He says before entering. I keep watching him. Don't go telling anyone about tonight or I'll kill you myself. He enters his home and I just smile. I leave. Bakugo's POV. God damn it. FNG broke down in front of FNG icy hot. I look outside the window and see he's gone. How could I let him see my like that? I grab a piece of paper from the coffee table and rip it in half. After I do this, I find words on the paper. I put the torn pieces together. It's a letter from my parents. They're on a business trip. Again. I don't know why I even bother with them. They just write a note that they're gone and leave me with just enough money. I don't spend it on anything. I don't eat after all. I rip the paper again and again until there's nothing left to rip. I kick the trash can down, which causes garbage to fly all over the floor. Great. First Todoroki and now this. Why am I like this? I walk over to the fridge. Why, I don't know. Maybe I do want to eat. I open it and there isn't much. Just an average fridge. Why did I even come over here again? Was I expecting something to happen? I'm ready to close the door when I see a bottle. Multiple bottles. It's beer. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. I wanted to talk to Bakugo, especially after last night's events. I wondered if he would come to school today. I was looking at the door waiting for him to show up while talking to Midoriya. He was rambling about something, but I was kind of distracting waiting for him to show, which he did at the last minute. I don't think anyone else noticed the sad look he had in his face. He looked lost in thought and full of sorrow. I want to talk to him. My gaze follows his movements as he walks to his seat. Midoriya interrupts my staring by waving his hand in my face. Todoroki? Are you listening? Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm listening. I just got distracted is all. Midoriya looks at Bakugo and points. Distracted by Kaken? No. I lie. Shortly after these events, Kirishima walks over to us, which I find odd since most of the time he is hanging out with Bakugo and friends, or what some people like to call it, the Baku Squad. Yo, Midoriya. You ask him yet? I tilt my head slightly in confusion. Ask me something? No, I was just about to. Have you asked Kaken yet? I become more curious when he mentions Bakugo. Bakugo. No, I'm planning on asking him after school. I meant the other thing. Kirishima winks at Midoriya and leaves. I see Midoriya's cheeks turn pink. What was that about? Anyways, Todoroki, I was planning on having a little sleepover before we move into the dorms. It might be fun. My house. I've never been to a sleepover before. It sounds fun. Sure, why not? Awesome. Who else is gonna be there? It'll be me, you, Ida, Kirishima, Kaminari, and Kaken if he says yes. I asked Kirishima to ask him because he'll most likely say no if it were me. I begin to open my mouth when Aizawa comes in. Everyone takes their seats. A sleepover. A chance to get close to Bakugo, maybe find out what is going on. Again, since when did I start to care for his well-being? I mean, it's rude not to care for someone's health but Bakugo's? And when he doesn't give two sheets about anyone but himself. Maybe it was yesterday, maybe when we had that conversation in the bathroom. Either way, I can't change my feelings. No one can. Midoriya's POV. Lately I've been developing feelings for Todoroki. I wanted to tell him how I feel, but I'm afraid of the rejection. I went to Kirishima to talk too. I couldn't go to Uraraka or Ida. As much as I love them, they would most likely spill minutes after knowing. Kirishima told me I should tell him, but I'm too scared. I'll tell him at the sleepover. I look at Todoroki during class and see him staring in my direction. I wave at him and he turns back to do his work. I guess he is nervous or something. I turn back and do my work, thinking about all the ways I could possibly tell him how I feel. Then I start to daydream other things about the two of us. I just really hope he returns my feelings. Kirishima's POV. After school, when everyone is leaving, I run up to Bakugo. He seems in a hurry to get home. Hey Baku bro. I shout. He turns around and yells like he usually does. What do you want, shitty hair? I smile. Midoriya is having a sleepover. So, he's invited you. Huh? It'll be fun. Come on, think about it. It's in 2 days. I can tell he's contemplating whether he should say yes or not. I'll go if I go, is his response. He starts to walk off. At first I'm about to yell out, but then I remembered he knows where Deku lives because they've been friends their entire lives. I wonder what happened? Well, it isn't something I should get involved in. It's just how Bakugo is. And that won't change, but I love him for it. Everyone was just a little bit shocked when the doorbell rang. Everyone was already at the sleepover, so who else would it be? Besides Bakugo, but there's no way. Midoriya opened the door and there stood Bakugo with his hands in his pockets and an angry expression on his face. Everyone sat in shock. They really weren't expecting him to show up, so they'd already started. Granted, they started just a few minutes ago. "Well, are you gonna invite me in or what?" he said. "Well, are you gonna invite me in or what?" Bakugo said in his regular angry tone. Midoriya moved out of the way and let him inside. He had a bag of his stuff. "You can just put them over there with everyone else's." He pointed time the rest of our stuff. Bakugo walked over to the pile and dropped his stuff on everyone else's. "Hey, be careful, we have valuable stuff over there." Ida shouted. "Like what?" "This is a FA sleepover," was Bakugo's reply. Ida had nothing to counter his reply, so he just sat in silence. Kaminari grabbed a controller. "Super Smash anyone?" "Sure, I'm down," Kirishima said, grabbing another controller. "Sure, why not?" Midoriya closed the door and ran to the other controller. "What about you, Todoroki?" he asked me. I didn't really know how to play video games. I never had the chance to. "I don't know how. I'll just watch for now," I tell him. "What about you, Kaken?" he asks Bakugo. "As long as you won't be sore losers once I kick your butts," he replies. I wonder how he does that. How he keeps up this facade of anger and confidence when he's depressed and dying inside. Like a mask. "I call All Might," Midoriya says, clicking on the character. Everyone frowns or groans at the displeasure of his choice. "Fine. I'll be Crimson Riot." Kirishima clicks on the picture of the pro hero. So I guess the game has most pro heroes. It doesn't take me long before I find Endeavor and internally GG in disgust. "You guys are gonna leave me with the worst fucking character, aren't ya?" Bakugo yells. There's a few laughs. "Don't laugh at me, Pikachu." Bakugo does seem to be having a little fun. "I shall choose my brother. Ingenium." Ida clicks. "Fine then. I'll choose Ryukyu." Bakugo clicks on the character. "I'll just watch a game or two to figure out how to play," I tell everyone. They nod in agreement and start the game. My mind can't help but drift to Bakugo a little bit. In the game, he's currently trying to knock All Might off the edge of the platform and failing. But I just can't help but think of what happened a few nights ago. When I walked him home. He seemed so scared, and when he came to school the next day, he acted like never happened. That's what he wanted, yes, but he didn't even look at me during that day. My thoughts are interrupted by a loud yell. It was Bakugo. The game must have ended. "Third place. Him and you, Deku," he screams. "Hey, at least you weren't last," Kaminari shouts. I turn towards Kirishima and Midoriya, who are cheering at getting second and first place. I turn to Ida, who's looking down at his controller. "Second to last place," he says. "I demand a rematch this instant." "Izuku, is everything all right?" I turn and see Midoriya's mom. Everyone was probably yelling too loudly. "Sorry, Mom. We'll be quieter. Right, guys?" Midoriya said. We all agreed. Midoriya's mom then left the room and we turned back to the TV. At least I did. Everyone else turned to me. "Hey, Todoroki, wanna play now?" Midoriya smiled. "Sure, why not?" I knew a little bit. I knew enough to at least get me past last place. There weren't enough controllers, so Kaminari had to hand his controller to me. Ida was fired up and ready, and so was Bakugo. "I'll get you guys next time, I swear," Kaminari stated. "New rule," Bakugo explained. "No using All Might. He's too OP. Kaken, if he was OP, why'd they put him in the game?" Midoriya countered. "Who agrees with me?" Bakugo said, looking at everyone. Kaminari and Ida agreed instantly, while Kirishima and I didn't really care. It was 2-1, so Midoriya had to choose another character. He chose our teacher, Eraserhead. Bakugo started the game. "Get ready to die," Bakugo told everyone playing. "You got this, Todoroki," Kaminari told me. "Don't go easy on me," I told them. "Wasn't planning on it." Bakugo replied. "Very well. Even though you are now my opponent, I shall honor your wishes," Ida stated. The fierce battle began. We all fought bravely. I ended up in first place. Second place went to Midoriya and third place was Bakugo. Goddash, Bakugo was about to yell, but I guess he remembered Midoriya's mom coming in last time. He stayed silent. "I don't like this game," he said, putting the controller down. If you want we can play another game. Midoriya explained. Like what? Kirishima asked. They all say quietly for a few seconds thinking about what game they should play at what else they should do. After a few minutes Kaminari speaks. Strip poker. Ida threw a nearby pillow at him. Geez, I was joking. He laughed. They were still thinking and Kaminari spoke again. Twister. That time Kirishima threw a nearby pillow. If you're gonna keep throwing pillows, how about a pillow fight? That's too girly. Bakugo spoke. How about the game Truth or Dare? I hear it's fun. Ida offers. Sure, why not? I say. So it's decided. How do you play? Ida asks. Kaminari and Kirishima gasp dramatically in shock. You have never played Truth or Dare? Kirishima asks, still in shock. I haven't either. I speak. Neither have I. Midoriya says. We find out that the only people who have played Truth or Dare was Kirishima and Kaminari. Ida and I just never had time, too busy training. Midoriya has no friends to play with. Bakugo never invited his friends to his house and never went to any sleepovers or any before he was 4, and 4-year-olds don't exactly play Truth or Dare. After Kirishima and Kaminari finish explaining to us how to play, we started. Bakugo went first. Pikachu, Truth or Dare? Dare. Kaminari says excitedly. I dare you to wear a Pikachu onesie at school. You got it. Feel free to take pictures. He winked and gave Bakugo a thumbs up. Ida, Truth or Dare? Truth. Ida answered immediately. Wow, that was fast. Anyways, is it true that? Kaminari had to think about it for a second. Is it true that you like someone in class 1A? Ida blushed a little bit. It wasn't exactly obvious, but it was clear on his face. He was interrupted by Kirishima. Remember, you have to tell the truth. Fine. There is someone I like in class 1A. An eruption of questions. All circling around the one huge one. Who are they? Ida gave no answers to the question. He simply kept his mouth shut. Anyways, Todoroki, I look at him. I already have my answer planned out. Truth or Dare? He asks me. Dare. Ida stayed quiet for quite a moment. Midoriya had to say something. Ida. What's up? Sorry. I just can't think of a dare. Take your FING time. Bakugo sarcastically commented. Kaminari then laughed and whispered something to Kirishima, who also laughs. He turns to Ida and whispers into his ear. Ida speaks. I dare you, Todoroki. He points at me dramatically, to cuddle next to Bakugo. What? Bakugo wasn't afraid to voice his opinion on the dare. To be truthful, I didn't really mind it at all. I got up from the spot I was sitting on and I walked over to Bakugo. He was shorter than me, so I couldn't exactly sit on his lap or anything, so I just sat next to him closely. I still wanted to talk to him about the other day. Okay, your turn, Todoroki, Midoriya said. I could hear a little irritability in his voice. Okay, Midoriya. Truth or Dare? Truth. He smiled again. I thought of a few truths I could give him and then I decided on, who do you hate the most in the room? That counts, right? It counts, Midoriya says. But he doesn't answer. Well, I don't really feel comfortable answering the question. That's all right. We can do something else. Kirishima said. I know. Kaminari raised his hand. We all gestured for him to continue. Spin the bottle. He grinned. But we're all dudes. Ida stated. So? Why not? It'll be fun. I'm in. Kirishima said, and he whispering something to Midoriya, who got all flustered and started stuttering. Why not? I say. Bakugo sits up and gets a water bottle out of the fridge. He downs the entire thing while we are all watching. Walking back over to us, he puts the bottle down. We all just stare at him in silence. Well, are you playing or what? He sits down and we all crowd into a circle. He spins the bottle. It lands on Ida. I roll the dice. No. Next. Kaken, you can't just say no. Midoriya tried to tell Bakugo, who wasn't listening. I'll go. Then. I say, spinning the bottle. It lands on Midoriya. His face turns as red as my fire. I honestly don't mind. It's just a kiss on the cheek. We're friends and that's normal for friends anyways, right? I lean towards him and he leans towards me. I give him a soft short peck on the cheek and lean back to my spot on the floor. He does the same, looking happy but a little sad. I'm confused but I shrug it off. We play a little more, exchanging a few kisses on cheeks and letting Bakugo refuse to participate. He always said no every time it landed on him or when it was his turn. Kirishima chose the next game. 7 minutes in heaven. He had to explain to everyone else what it was. After he was finished, all I was thinking was, are these really the only games we can play? The random way we decided to pick the 2 people was to write our names down and put them in a hat. I was secretly hoping to get Bakugo so we could talk about the other night. Knowing him, he probably wanted to avoid me at all costs. Midoriya pulled out 2 names from the hat. Kaken, he read, and please be me, please be me. Thinking like this is new. Since when did I care about someone so much? And Bakugo, again, is the one I'm worried about. And Todoroki. I still had my blank expression on my face but I was really happy. No way in hell. Bakugo stated. Oh come on, get in the closet with Todoroki. Kirishima laughed. Or are you scared? Kaminari teased, which made Bakugo bolt upright from the couch he was leaning on. Me? Scared? I don't know the meaning. He shouted. Then prove it. I will. Bakugo grabbed my arm and dragged me to the closet, closing the door with a slam. We stood in silence for a few moments before I finally decided to talk. Before I could, Bakugo shushed me. I don't want to talk about it. Talk about what? I can still try to get him too. The other night. What exactly? Okay, the other night? Stop playing dumb. I know you just want me to say it and I won't say it. I'm already a hippie idiot and am weak because you found out and dash. I interrupt him and grab his arm. He looks at me. Don't call yourself weak. You're one of the strongest people I know, Bakugo. There was no light and the closet was relatively small, but I was pretty sure I saw a tiny smile. Maybe. A few moments of silence passed. The room was getting kind of cramped the more I stayed inside. My eyes adjusted though. Bakugo's did too. I could tell from his stretching. He was avoiding all the places he could possibly make something fall. One of the times he stretched his long-sleeved pajamas rolled down. I saw something on his arms. Bandages, I think. I squinted my eyes to try and see it clearer, but he saw me and put his hands down, making sure his arms were covered. I began to open my mouth when the door swung open. Time's up. Midoriya said, a tiny bit of venom in his voice, which shocked me but I didn't show it. About Bakugo's bandages arms. I'd have to ask him about it later. Maybe tonight when everyone sleeps, but I don't want to wake him. We walk out of the closet and sit back down. This time Kirishima chooses the names. I'm miraculously chosen again and Midoriya is also chosen. Before he goes inside, Kirishima, we step into the closet, shutting the door. So, Todoroki. Midoriya was trying to start conversation. I had nothing to say. What I was really thinking about was Bakugo. He and Midoriya are childhood friends. Maybe I can ask him. But that would be weird asking. I decide to give it a chance. Is Bakugo alright? I ask before he can say anything else. Sorry. He says like he didn't hear me. Which is strange, speaking we are only a few inches apart. I ask him again. What do you mean? He doesn't seem like himself. I say. There's awkward silence. Midoriya changes the subject. I have something I want to tell you. Okay. I don't mind the subject change. It was a long shot, asking him anyways. I already know they have a rocky past. Well, it's something I've been wanting to tell you for a while now, and this is the only time I feel. Well, I feel it's the right time that dash. You're muttering. Sorry. I've been wanting to tell you this for a while. Yes. Todoroki, I like you. I tilt my head in confusion. I like you too, Midoriya. You're a great friend. No, Todoroki, I mean I like you. Like a crush. I'm flustered and shocked and all over the place, but I manage to keep my blank stare. I'm very sorry, Midoriya. But I see you as a friend and nothing more. I look down. I really hope I didn't break his heart or his feelings. I look back up and even though it's dark I can clearly see the smile he has on his face. That's alright. I'm fine with being your friend. Before I can say anything the door is opened and Kirishima and Kaminari are staring at us while Ida is trying to tell Bakugo to put his feet back on the floor because this isn't his house. I walk out and sit down. When I'm in said seat I look back at Midoriya, who is talking to Kirishima and Kaminari. Probably about the events of the closet. Alright, next. Kaminari nervously laughs. We have a few more rounds of 7 Minutes in Heaven and play a few more games and watch some movies. Then decide it's time for bed. Which Bakugo had said hours before. We all got our sleeping bags out and Midoriya had some extra all-night blankets for us if we needed it. Good night everyone. Midoriya says with a yawn. See you tomorrow. Kirishima's eyes are already closed. I'm not that tired but apparently everyone else is. Granted I didn't do a lot of stuff because I didn't know how so I had an excuse but the others participated in everything with all their energy. Except for Bakugo of course. Within a few minutes everyone else was knocked out cold. I finally close my eyes to rest when I hear footsteps. When I'm pretty confident everyone else is asleep I get up and go to the bathroom. It's not can do anything so I'll just cry it out. I'm weak. I can't help but feel like that Super Smash game was an omen of sorts. Telling me I'll never be #1 hero. Why do I even believe that anymore? I can't be anything. Tears are starting to form. Why do I have to be like this? I should be happy. I have, contrary to popular belief, friends who like me and I'm at a sleepover with them. I'm going to be moving into dorms with them and spend more time with them, but I just can't help but to hate myself for all my bad qualities. What kind of person yells at their friends? I'm not a good friend. They deserve better. Great. The tears roll down my face. I hope no one is awake to hear my crying. Even if I'm trying my best not to make any noise. I wish I could do something right now. Hurt myself. But I'm in Deku's house. I'd probably get careless and he'd find blood and would question it. I find myself leaning against the wall and sinking to the floor, crying silently. I hear a quiet knock on the door. No, it can't be a knock. It must be something else. I try to wipe my tears as quickly as I can just in case. Bakugo. I hear a whisper. Great. Half and half again. Occupied. I whisper yell. The doorknob starts to turn, slowly. Great, I forgot to lock the Fanji door. He's gonna see me. I said occupied UBST or you don't come in. I sniff. God damn it. He opens the door and sees me. His eyes widen at the sight of me. Great, now he's seen me weak, again. How many times will this happen? Why is the universe against me keeping this to myself? If you're gonna stay, close the FING door. Or close the door on your way out. He did the option I most expected and least wanted. He closed the door and stayed, sitting down and inching closer to me. Are you okay? He says. What do you think? Probably not. I'm fine. I cover my face because I know I'll just end up crying again. What's wrong? He asks, still with a blank expression on his face. Nothing. There's a few moments of silence again. Why are there so many silences between us? I tilt my head up about to say something when he grabs my arm. Hey, what the hell? Before I can say anything else, he pulls my long sleeve down, revealing my bandages. At least I did that before I came over. What are these? Bandages, you idiot. I get into fights. Then why aren't they anywhere else on your body? I don't have an answer to that. None of your business. Do you hurt yourself? As blunt as ever. I free my arm from his grip. What the hell are you on? I say. I stand up to leave. He figured it out, but I can't let him see me vulnerable again. I'll have to avoid him more. When I step to walk away, Todoroki grabs my arm again. Let go or I dash. Then he does something I'd never expect. He gave me a hug. I was shocked at first. I didn't move at all. His embrace was warm though. A little part of me wanted to stay in his arms. I stay silent while he continues to hug me. It's okay. Bakugo. It's okay. I don't know why, but something about those words made me break down. If I weren't in his arms, I would have fallen to the floor. I hugged him back tightly and cried. He stood in silence. his facial expression never wavering. After minutes of crying, I finally let go and wiped my remaining tears. Todoroki just stood there, still a blank expression on his face. A bunch of questions came through my mind. Questions like, why does he care after everything I've done? What does he mean by he's been through it before? Are you okay for now? He asked. I let out a tiny smile. For now. I'm gonna go back to bed then. Talk tomorrow? Sure, whatever. Before he left the bathroom, I said something. Hey. He looked at me. Don't tell anyone. I won't. One more thing. Yes. Thanks, Todoroki. A small smile appeared on his face. I returned it with another small smile. He left the bathroom, leaving me alone with my thoughts. For the first time in a while, I didn't have negative thoughts though. They were thoughts about Todoroki's hug and how he was there for me. When did I become such a sap or whatever? I exit out of the bathroom and actually managed to fall asleep and get a good night's rest. Todoroki's POV. The next few days were hectic. Everyone was moving into the dorms and we even had a competition to see whose dorm was the best. Jairu and Yaoyorozu's dorm won. Kirishima and Kaminari's in a close second. During the entire competition, Bakugo didn't show up. Understandable because he was sleeping, but personally I didn't really think he was really asleep. When the competition was over, everyone went down to the common area and sat down to talk more, which is when I decided to take my leave. Going to bed, Todoroki? Yaoyorozu asked as I pushed the button on the elevator. Yes. I'm feeling tired. I tell her. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. I wanted to check on Bakugo. Good night. See you tomorrow. Hagakure said. The elevator door opened and I stepped inside. I would have waved good night to her, but I couldn't see her. Her outfit was being covered by the couch. I clicked to go to floor 3, where Bakugo and me's dorm was. The elevator door closed as I was waving at everyone else. I start to think about everything that has happened the past few days. Going to Midoriya's sleepover and having a little bonding moment with Baku. Midoriya also confessed to me, and since then we haven't really talked. He keeps avoiding me. Moving in with Bakugo was easier than expected though. He just had one rule. I was to never go in his room. If he really is asleep though, he won't notice if I do. Also, I'll just look inside, not go in. The elevator door opened before I knew it, so I stepped out and walked to the room. When I got there, I went over to Bakugo's room and its closed door. I heard the shift of the blankets and curiously opened the door to see Bakugo moving around everywhere on his bed, eyes closed. Was he having a nightmare? Let me go. He moves around more. I go over to wake him up. Hey, Bakugo. I shake him a little bit. He jolts up and looks around to see me. Icy hot. What are you doing in my room? He groggily asks. You were having a nightmare. I had to wake you. Okay, I probably didn't have to, but I wanted to. Well, I'm fine. It happens every night. Every night. That isn't good. He probably doesn't get a lot of good sleep then. You must be tired. I say. I'm fine. No, you're not. Stop saying you are. You wear a mask of anger and fire, but really you're hurting and sad. I want to tell him this. I want to help him. Should I hug him again? Do you want another hug? What I want is good FANG sleep. He turns the other way. I don't know what else to do, but I want to help him. He probably wants someone to help him, even if he won't admit it. I have felt a little of what he's feeling right now. When I was living with my father, before I could think about what I was doing, I hop into the bed with him. The F are you doing? He says. Maybe I can help. Can I try? I ask. Bakugo either thinks about it or has trouble forming the right words to yell at me. Reluctantly, he decides to let me try to help. I lay down with him and I give him a hug. He returns the hug and we just lay there in silence. Instead of being its normal awkward silence, it's a comforting silence. We just let the silence take over. Eventually Bakugo drifts to sleep. I look at him. He looks peaceful. He doesn't scrunch up his face in anger or anything. I try to get out of his bed, but he holds on to me tighter. I try again, but he just squeezes even more. So I just decide to stay. It's okay, Bakugo. I'm here. I drift off into an easy sleep. I wake up with a yawn. I get out of bed and stretch. When I look around I realize I'm not in my room. I look at the bed and see Bakugo still sound asleep. I forgot I stayed here last night. I search for my phone to see what time it is. It's in my pocket. I check the time and surprisingly it is still pretty early. I decide to leave Bakugo alone and go into my room, taking some clothes and going into the bathroom I take a shower. When I finish I brush my teeth and get ready for classes today. By the time I'm awake Bakugo isn't awake so I knock on his door before entering. If he is a light sleeper he might wake up to it. He didn't so I went inside and shook him lightly. Bakugo, I whisper, wake up. Class will start soon. He slowly opens his eyes and yawns, rubbing his eyes. Cute. I say to myself. What? He groggily asks. Nothing. Class will start soon you should get ready. I tell him. Right. He gets out of bed and immediately checks the time. I'll see you in class. I leave his room. Right. He says again. He looks a little down. I ponder if I should stay or not but decide against it. Leaving the room and going into the elevator, Kirishima steps in as well. Yo bro. He says. Hi. I say back. How's rooming with Bakugo going? I hope he isn't causing too much trouble. He laughs. It's alright. He isn't causing any trouble. I tell him. The elevator doors chime open and we both exit. Todoroki. Kirishima. Mina excitedly waves at us. Sato made us breakfast. It's so delicious, try it. She said and pointed at Sato in the kitchen. It isn't a big deal. He blushed of embarrassment. I do have to agree though. These are delicious. Tsuyu smiled and gave a thumbs up. Cool. What is it, Sato bro? Kirishima went over to him and grabbed a plate that was already ready. Oh, it's nothing. Just some miso soup. He laughed. It's the best miso soup I've ever tasted. Tokoyami said. I hadn't noticed him until now. Kirishima took a sip of the soup, his face brightening almost immediately. This is delicious. He started eating more. I went over to try some and I have to admit it's really delicious. The elevator opens and Bakugo and Midoriya both exit. Deku. Bakugo. Uraraka waved. You should try some of Sato's delicious miso soup. If they kept telling everyone the whole school would find out. I think that's what they were trying to do though. Sure. Midoriya went over to Sato and the kitchen to get a bowl. I looked over at Bakugo who was leaving. I'm not hungry. He left the dorm building. When I finished my miso soup I placed it in the sink and left for class, Midoriya following. I decided this would be a good time to talk to him about the sleepover. Hey Midoriya. I said. He was hesitant to reply but eventually did. Hi Todoroki. He said happily. How should I start this? It feels like it's been years since I've talked to him even though that's stupid. Before I could open my mouth and form the words Midoriya spoke. So things have been kind of weird since the sleepover and well not talking to you isn't getting anywhere and stuff so can we kind of pretend like it didn't happen? Well not that it didn't happen but dash, he started to ramble on and then go into a mumble. Midoriya. I snapped him out of his mumbling. Yes, let's go back to talking and being normal. I told him. He nodded his head and we talked until we got to class and it officially started. All right class. Aizawa sighed. Today you are doing combat training with all might. Some groaned because they wanted to do nothing today and others cheered in excitement. Bakugo's POV warning, cut warning warning. Today when I woke up, for some reason I felt super shitty. Nothing was wrong, yet, but I had felt worse than I'd felt the last couple days. I went into the bathroom, avoiding looking at myself in the mirror. I tried to get ready without doing anything but I couldn't resist the urge. I decided to give in. I grabbed my razor and started cutting my legs. At least no one could see them. I cut for I don't know how many long. When I finished I washed the blood off the razor and put it back down. Days like this I feel like if I drank that beer it would be different. Maybe I could have died of alcohol poisoning. My stomach growled because I haven't eaten in days, and I still don't plan to eat. I leave the room and go into the elevator. Deku is already inside. He looked at me and I took a deep breath. Morning Kaken. He waves happily. I ignore him. The elevator door opens and we both exit. The girls all say something about eating which automatically stopped me from listening, so I just told them I wasn't hungry and left to class, even if it didn't start for another 10 minutes or so. When class started, I really didn't feel like doing anything and I hoped Mr. Aizawa would just sleep in his sleeping bag, but instead we had to do training. My stomach growled again. This really wasn't the best time for combat training. We all put on our hero suits and went out to the training ground. All Might was already there. "Students, you are here." He talking about what we were going to do. We were going to be partnered up and have a 1v1. First up was Deku versus Shitty Hair. Next would be Frog versus Raccoon Eyes. Then Icy Hot versus Pikachu and whatnot. I would be up against Round Face. That will be an easy win, but I still won't underestimate her. The fights were about to start. Shitty Hair and Deku already in position. All Might said, "Let the training begin." After Deku, Raccoon Eyes, Icy Hot and everyone else ahead of me won the combat battle, it was finally me and Round Face's turn. We of course had a few minutes to plan our strategy. All I needed to do was blast some explosions and win the math. But I know not to underestimate Pink Cheeks. No doubt Deku was trying to help her find a way to beat me. It would be useless though. Raccoon Eyes and Ponytail came up to me. Mina with a big smile on her face. "Bakugu," she said, "we just want to wish you good luck with Bakugu v Uraraka number 2. I looked confused. Because of your fight at the sports festival. You won to Uraraka and I bet she is going to go all out, so be prepared." Ponytail told me. "I'll take that bet." Mina replied. I wanted to say thanks, but that would just seem weird with how my usual personality is, so I just shrugged and said, "Whatever. Good luck again," Mina said and walked away with Yaoyorozu following close behind. We had a few more minutes before it was time for us to fight, and I used those minutes to think of a plan. When it was time, we walked out into the city area. The goal was to take the opponent out by causing minimum or no damage to the area around us. Uraraka's POV. When All Might gave the signal, Bakugu immediately flew at me using his explosions. I ducked and touched some of the rocks on the ground, making them float. He tried to fire an explosion at me from behind, but I miraculously dodged it. He landed on the ground and fired another explosion. This time it was a bit slow and didn't have as much power. I could use that to my advantage. I ran over to Bakugu to try and touch him, make him float. He wouldn't be in control of his body then. He dodged. I tried again, and this time I was super close. I tried one more time and I got him. He started floating up in the air. I could see the confusion on his face for a few seconds, and then he adjusted to it? He looked calm and he smirked. He used his quirk to push himself towards me. How did I forget to take his quirk into consideration? It doesn't matter, I can still win this. As Bakugu flew closer to me, I started to run. He was chasing me. "Are you a scaredy cat now or something? Come on, fight me," he yelled. I kept running, getting faster, determination probably showing on my face. I stopped to take my breath. The pile of rocks I had recently touched still in the air. Bakugu had seemingly forgotten about them as he was flying closer to me. "Die!" he yelled and threw an explosion at me. As he did, he got under the pile of rocks and I put my fingers together and let the small rocks drop down and pummel him like hail. I was hit by his explosion in the process and flew into the wall behind me, causing it to crack a bit in the process. I fell to the ground, but the explosion wasn't that big, again, so I just stood back up and resisted the urge to wipe some of the dirt off of my hero suit. I looked in Bakugu's direction and see he's still up, obviously. The rocks were just tiny pebbles you could use to possibly skip with, or rocks on the ground at random cities and parks. I looked at Bakugu and got into a fighting position again, my face filled with determination. He isn't moving. I stay where I am. He still hasn't moved. "You're gonna pay for that," he finally says. His voice a low growl. He starts to walk towards me and I tighten my fists. He lifts his hand up to make an explosion and he collapses. "Bakugu?" I ask. He hasn't moved. I wait a couple of seconds, but he still doesn't get up. I let my guard down slightly and run up to him. Still he hasn't moved. I ask again, "Bakugu?" He doesn't get up or anything. We weren't even fighting for a full 5 minutes, and even then he wouldn't be down that easy. Something had to be wrong. There was no way on earth this was Bakugu. I tapped his shoulder and looked at his face. His eyes were closed. He was unconscious. All Might's voice blares from the area. Him and all the other students are watching. The match is over. I won. Bakugu still didn't get up. Both me and Bakugu ended up going to Recovery Girl. Neither of us had any broken bones, so she just told me to rest. Bakugu was still asleep. I took a nap as well, and Recovery Girl told me that some of our classmates had visited to see us and to get checked because of their fights. After class was over, Recovery Girl let us go, and by that time Bakugu had already woken up. We changed back into uniforms because we were still in our hero costumes. We finished at the exact same time and walked to the dorms side by side, an awkward tension and silence between us. I decided to break the silence. Good job in training today, Bakugu. I smiled. Whatever, he said. I wanted to ask him about what happened with the rocks, but decided against it. What happened today, he said, was just a off day for me. Next time you're going down. I smiled wider at that. Can't wait. I gave him a thumbs up. We entered the dorms, and that's where our conversation ended. Almost everyone was waiting for us to get back. They were worried. I stayed and talked with everyone while Bakugu just said he wanted to go to bed and left. A few of the other classmates following him because they were tired and only stayed because they wanted to see if Bakugu and I were okay. After a few hours of hanging with Mina, Sue, and Jairu, I finally decided to go to bed as well. Good night. I waved as I stepped into the elevator. I failed. When I said that I would absolutely win the match, I lost. Great. Now I'm even more of a failure. The reason I didn't win was probably because I haven't been eating. I know that. But I just can't eat. Why do I have to be like this? Why do I have to think about this in the middle of the night? Everyone else is asleep and I'm just laying in my bed, tired and hungry, not able to move. Why can't I be like them? I checked the time on my phone, for the 500th time in 5 minutes. It's 12. If I go to bed early to sleep, why am I not sleeping? Even if I do fall asleep, I'll just have nightmares. I decide to get up and sneak down to the kitchen. Maybe, just maybe, food might help. I slowly walk out the dorm, trying very hard not to wake up Todoroki. I quietly close the door behind me and walk to the elevator. I click the button and it opens almost immediately. Once I hop out of the elevator after arriving at the bottom floor, I suddenly get the feeling someone's watching me. I ignore the feeling and walk to the kitchen, opening the fridge. I just settled for getting a bottle of water. Before I could open it, I heard the elevator door open. I instinctively hid. I just ducked down and the cabinets prevented anyone from seeing me. My mind started racing at who it could be. Probably just a classmate. But what if it wasn't a classmate? What if it was someone else? I didn't realize it yet, but my breathing was getting heavy. I could feel a panic attack coming. I could hear footsteps. It felt like they were getting closer, footsteps getting louder, my heartbeat getting faster and louder. I take a very deep breath and turn to slowly look at who is there. It's too dark, I can't see them. They turn to go outside. Who's going out at this hour? It doesn't matter. If they leave, I can go back to the elevator and escape. I make a run for it, clicking the elevator button. It opens quickly and I step inside. Right before it closes, I see the person coming back inside. They see me and I see them. But we only see shadows of each other. No faces. I run back to my dorm and lock the door, quickly. I go into my room and close the door, locking it. I breathe out a breath I didn't know I was holding, and sink to the floor. My breathing gets heavy again. But I'm safe. I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about. I feel tears threaten to fall down my face. Why was I so scared? It's just someone going out. For all I know, it could be Deku training in the middle of the night. But something just felt. I steady my breathing and stand up. I open the door and go to the bathroom. Turning the water onto cold, I put my hands under the water and splash it in my face. I try to think through everything that happened. Why am I so nervous about this? It's probably nothing. There's nothing to worry about. I just have to keep telling myself that. When I open the door, I see Todoroki, about to knock. What? I say. I wanted to see if you were okay. He admits. I'm fine off. I angrily walk back into my room. Before I close the door, he speaks. You know, Bakugu, you don't have to wear your mask around me. I closed the door. What the hell was that even supposed to mean? I lay back in my bed and start thinking again. Todoroki honestly looked kind of cute with his slightly messy hair and sleepy look in his eyes. I drift off slowly. Todoroki's POV. For class, Aizawa had an important announcement. Everyone, including me, thought it would be good news. A field trip maybe. Maybe even no class. We were all wrong. Something that the staff of UA has been questioning for quite a while has been answered. He started off slowly. The entire atmosphere changed as we all knew this wouldn't be good news. There is a mole here in our midst. The gasps and whispers came shortly after. As of now, we don't know who it is. At first there was no evidence, but something new came into light. We know that this happened during the move-in of the dorms. If anyone has any information, it would be greatly appreciated. But as of now, there is nothing to worry about and we will be taking extra precautions. He said. Everyone looked at each other. It could be any one of us. Calm down, everyone. Ida stood up. Everyone looked at him. If there is a mole, I doubt that it is anyone in this class. We are all striving to be excellent heroes and none of us would dare jeopardize that. He assured us, so we should stay calm. That's our class president. Yayorozu stated. Yep, that's right. We should be fine. So you said. The atmosphere went from tense to calm again. Aizawa showed a tiny smile on his face and got into his sleeping bag to sleep. I look over at Bakugu. He hasn't said anything and he is just looking down. After watching him for a couple seconds, I notice he's shaking. He gets up quickly, almost knocking down his chair. He runs out. What was that about? Shiro questioned. Probably just Bakugu being Bakugu. Nothing to worry about. Kirishima sighed. Everyone went back to talking. Uraraka and Midoriya walked over to my table and we talked about an assignment we had gotten from Present Mike. After class at lunch, I went to go find Bakugu. He was in his normal hiding place, a bathroom stall. Bakugu! I said. What, icy hot? He shouted. Why'd you run out earlier? None of your goddamn business. He seemed more feral than he was most days. I stayed calm. Is there anything you need to talk about? No. Just go. Not until you tell me what's going on. Why'd you leave? Because I could. That's not an answer. It's the answer I'm giving. Do you know something? Silence. Bakugu. I say. There's still silence. You know something, don't you? No. You know something, don't you? Todoroki questions. No. Bakugu says. Bakugu. Don't lie. I told you before, you don't have to keep up a mask around me. I don't want to talk about it. Bakugu tells him, leave me alone. If you know something, you have to tell Mr. Aizawa. He completely ignored the other boy's statement. No, I don't. Then tell me so I can tell him. Bakugu exited the bathroom stall. He locked himself in. Stop asking, icy hot. Todoroki stares at Bakugu. He wants to get the truth. Or at least something. Todoroki started thinking. Why would Bakugu have information and not want to share it? Bakugu finally looked at Todoroki. Are you the traitor? What? No, you have to be out of your mind to believe that. Bakugu yelled. How am I supposed to believe anything else? You're being secretive, keeping information away from Mr. Aizawa. What else am I supposed to believe? You're supposed to believe I'm not lying. I would never. How would I even be in contact with them anyways? You could have teamed up with them when you were taken. That made Bakugu freeze. He didn't say anything. He took a deep, shaky breath. Believe whatever the F you want. I'm not doing this. He passed Todoroki to leave the bathroom. Before he could go, Todoroki grabbed his arm, preventing him from leaving. Last chance. Todoroki said, not looking at Bakugu, tell me what you know. Bakugu stayed silent. They were both silent for a few seconds. The only thing that could be heard was their breathing. 3 seconds or you will have lost my trust completely. Todoroki said. After longer than 3 seconds passed of Bakugu not saying a word, Todoroki let go of his arm. The freed boy almost ran out of the bathroom, leaving Todoroki to his thoughts. I locked myself in my room. I never want leave it again. It's been 3 days and me and Todoroki haven't talked since. I've cut more, cried more. Why was he affecting me so much? It's not like we are close, so why? There's a knock on the door. I know it definitely isn't Todoroki, he's been ignoring me. I don't answer. If the knocker was serious about talking to me, they'd talk first or try to open the door and find it locked. Bakubro. I hear Kirishima's voice. It's been a while. You don't really talk to anyone anymore. Can we help? Hey, Bakugu. I heard Kaminari say. What's up, Bakugu? Mina spoke. I guess Siro was there too. Sup, Bakugu? I'm busy at the moment. I tell them. You haven't been busy for 3 days. Come on, there is this carnival that we can go to tomorrow. I'll get back to you on it. I said. I heard their footsteps as they walked out. Maybe an outing would be good for me. Especially if it distracts me from all this stupid drama. I opened the door slightly and looked to see if Todoroki was there. I hope he is with Deku or something. Even so, Todoroki wouldn't talk to me. Does he really think I'm a traitor? There's no signs of him or anyone, so I quickly leave my bedroom and go to the bathroom that me and Todoroki share. I closed and locked the door and made my way to the mirror. I looked at myself. Bad decision. I had terrible bags under my eyes and pretty much looked dead. I wish I was dead. It wouldn't make a difference. I could do it so easily too. Just a knife to the heart, hanging, jumping off a roof. A painful death for a painful existence. No one would care. The one person who I thought actually cared wouldn't care. He won't even talk to me. I break down into tears and cry. I head over to the toilet as I feel something coming up. I throw up and cough. Result for not eating in weeks, possibly even a month. I should really eat something. But I can't bring myself to. Maybe I'll starve to death. Still painful, and I'd be fine with it. Everyone would be. My parents don't care about me. There's barely anything at home. I finish throwing up and flush the vomit down the toilet. I walk back over to the sink and wash my hands and face. Maybe if I had told Todoroki I saw someone, I wouldn't be in this situation. But they didn't really look like a traitor. They weren't doing anything, were they? I left the bathroom and saw Todoroki coming inside the dorm. See, I can't let him see me like this. I turn back and go into the bathroom. I lock myself inside. I'll just wait until he leaves. Todoroki's POV. Hey, Todoroki. Mina came up to me. Which is weird because she never talks to me. Hi. I said with a blank expression on my face. What are you doing tomorrow night? She asked me. Sleeping. Mina laughed. So you're not busy tomorrow? I nod. She gives me a thumbs up and asks me, want to go to a carnival with me and some friends? Sure, I'll go. I have nothing else to do. As long as Bakugu isn't there, I will be fine. Right, Bakugu? I don't know if he is the traitor. I don't know what to think. But anyone could be the traitor. I shouldn't have been so mean to Bakugu. He has barely left his room, hasn't eaten in who knows how long, and probably isn't sleeping. I should probably talk to him, apologize. Todoroki? I heard Mina's voice. Yes. I say. Nothing. You kind of blanked for a second. You were just staring off into space. Sorry, I was thinking. I told her. So you're going to the carnival? Sure. See you tomorrow. I start walking to my dorm. Todoroki, Mina said from behind me. I turn around and look at her. She hesitates. Nothing. See you tomorrow. I shrug it off and walk away. When I get to the dorm, I hear the sound of a door close. Bakugu must have just been in the bathroom or something. I shrug it off and sit in a chair in the little living area that we have that leads to our rooms. I get on my phone and start playing some games. I had nothing else to do. After a few minutes, I heard a door open slightly. I ignore it. It's just Bakugu. The door closes again. He probably saw me and decided not to leave his room. I get up and head towards the bathroom for obvious reasons. When I get there, I put my hand on the knob to open it, but it doesn't open. I try again. Is it locked? Should I use my quirk? I try one more time to open the door. Is Bakugu in there? I knock on the door. Occupied. He spoke quietly. Well, if you don't mind hurrying. I have to use it. I say bluntly, my voice monotone. After a few seconds I hear a click and the door opens. Bakugo exits too quickly and immediately goes into his room. I barely saw his face as he left. I went into the bathroom and used the toilet. When I finished I washed my hands and before I could leave I saw something on the floor. It wasn't anything unnatural, it was just a red stain on the floor. It looked new. When I bent down to look at it I saw another red stain near it. I examined it and I could clearly tell what it was. It was blood. What? That can't be. Whose blood is it? Oh no. I leave the bathroom and walk into my room, closing the door behind me. There was a knock on the door. I quickly opened it and saw Midoriya and Mina. They wave and I wave back. Everyone else is outside. You ready? Midoriya asks. I nod and before I exit Mina asks me a question. Is Bakugo coming? She looks past me. Baku. We invited him yesterday before we invited you. He said he might. Before I could answer the question Bakugo exited his room. He looked a bit charming. He has a simple white shirt on with a black jacket and black briefs. He had white Converses. Looking good Bakugo. Mina gave a thumbs up. Yeah, you look great. Midoriya added. Are we gonna stand here all night giving me compliments? Let's go. He responded. We all took our leave. It was the weekend and Aizawa was notified that we'd be out. The people going with us to the carnival were Mina, Kirishima, Midoriya, Uraraka, Kaminari, Shiro, and Jaya. It wasn't far. Just a few-minute walk to the place. I kept eyeing Bakugo. More specifically his arms and hands. They were shaking just a little bit. He was still scared. I wanted to talk to him but I couldn't. I was overreacting and I should tell him. I'll probably do it at the carnival. But for now I just walk beside him, inching closer and closer to him. We're here. Kirishima shouted. What should we do first? Mina asked. Get tickets for rides and games. Jairu pointed at the booth with a line of people waiting to pay for tickets. Let's pool our money together and get as many tickets as possible. Kaminari stated, pulling out $15. Midoriya pulled out the same amount. Uraraka pulled $2 bills from the purse she was carrying. Before anyone else could take out any money I took out mine. I have $65 in cash. Will this help? I asked blankly. Dude, you're too rich. Shiro groaned. We used our money and all 9 of us got 20 tickets. We all split up. The girls went with each other, Kirishima, Kaminari, and Shiro went with each other which left me, Bakugo, and Midoriya. So what did you guys want to do first? Midoriya asked us, looking at all the games we could play. I don't know. I've never been to a carnival before. I told him. Let's go over there. Bakugo pointed around the game where kids were using water guns to shoot sea creatures to win a prize. Why not? I shrugged. Midoriya nodded and we went over when the kids were finished. A little girl carrying a stuffed animal that she had won. 2 tickets each. The woman manning the game said. We each tore off 2 tickets that we had and gave it to her. She explained the rules of the game. Shoot the creatures to make them go from left to right. Whoever gets their creature across first gets the prize. She pointed at the row of stuffed animals. Ready? We all nodded and she activated the water guns. We immediately started spraying the sea creature that was ours. I ended up winning. Bakugo getting second place. Midoriya landing last. Congratulations. Which one do you want? She went over to the row of animals. I'll get that one. I pointed at the blonde Pomeranian plush. She got it from the row and handed it to me. Thanks for playing, she said as we walked off. What next? I asked. Let's go on the Ferris wheel. Midoriya pointed to the huge spinning object. I looked over at Bakugo, who responded with, I don't give a f dashed. We walked over to it and met Uraraka and Jairu. Hi guys. Uraraka waves from the line. Me and Midoriya waved back. Where's Mina? I asked. The girls shrugged, Jairu answering. She just disappeared. We got into the line with the girls and started talking. After a minute of waiting, Kaminari joined us. Kirishima and Shiro went off to go play a game while they wait for us. When we got to the front of the line, the man told us only 2 people at a time. Uraraka got on with Deku. Jiraiya got on with Kaminari and I got on with Bakugo. Now was the perfect time to fall. So Bakugo he interrupts me. I don't want to hear it. I know. The Ferris wheel started moving up. I don't think you do. And before you interrupt, just let me talk, I say. He nods. I'm sorry. I was being a little hard on you. You were probably just scared. I don't think you are the traitor. He nods. I'll forgive you if you trust me again, he says. I nod, smiling a little. When we get off this ride, I have to tell you something. I tell him. Sure, but first we gotta get away from stupid Deku. He laughs a bit. The Ferris wheel stops when we in midair, letting Uraraka and Midoriya get off. We see them laughing. It moves one more time and stops so Jiraiya and Kaminari can get off. Next is the two of us. We hop off and meet the others. Kirishima and Kaminari there as well. We split up again. This time it's me and Bakugo alone. Midoriya decided to go with Uraraka and Jiraiya. They were also going to find Mina. I led Bakugo to an area between two games. So what do you want to talk about now? He said. I reluctantly grabbed his hand and he looked at me, confused. I lifted his jacket sleeve and saw healing cuts. Bakugo. He takes his hand away from mine, quickly, and pulls his sleeve back down. How did you find out? His voice cracked. I felt tears threaten to fall. It really is Bakugo's blood. He really does. I was too shocked to say anything. A tear rolled down Bakugo's face as he ran away, leaving me shocked and staring at the spot Bakugo had been in. I stood there, holding the Pomeranian plush in my hand. Idiot. Why would I think he wouldn't run off? He's probably so embarrassed or sad. Maybe both. What am I doing? I can't just stand here all night. I have to go look for him. I run out towards the direction Bakugo ran in. I try to look for him. I see a few ash blondes, but none of them were Bakugo. Bakugo's POV. I was at a partially abandoned section of the carnival, laying on the ground. I was wiping the tears from my face and eyes, praying no one I know would find me like this. I stayed there for what felt like hours, trying not to cry again. A few people passed me, but they said and did nothing. Most of them probably didn't even notice me. My eyes are probably still red. And just my luck, Mina shows up, eating pink cotton candy. Bakugo, what are you doing here? She asked me, smiling. Lost them. Just waiting here for 'em. I'm mumbling angrily. Oh, want company? She asked. I just grunted and she walked over to sit by me. We sat in silence for a few seconds before talking. Why not just go look for the two? She suggested. I'm fine right here. I told her. She looked up at the night sky. So what do you think Izuku and Ochako are doing right now? What? I looked at her, she was still looking at the sky. Izuku and Ochako. Their blood tastes delicious. What are you talking about, raccoon eyes? I stared at her. That's not my name. Or her name. I was confused. She said their first names, she's talking about blood, and... She looked at me, smiling creepily. I wonder what your blood tastes like. She pulled out a knife. I stood up and got into a fighting stance. Mina? I asked, my voice shaky. It's Toga. She swung the knife at me. I managed to dodge. I ran out of the partially abandoned place, Toga in hot pursuit. Why was I so slow? As I'm running, I bump into someone. Looking up, I see it's Todoroki. Bakugo, there you are, he said. Why are you running? We were playing a little game. I jumped a little at the sound of her voice. Oh, you guys are kind of close. She laughed. My breathing was getting heavy. I felt Todoroki's hand grab my arm. He felt I was shaking. Bakugo, what's wrong? Todoroki said to me. Toga looked at me and smiled. A smile I now saw was fake. She was signaling that if I told him, bad things will happen. Nothing. I quickly and quietly say, leaving his grip. Nothing. I tell him again. Okay. He looks at me and then at Mina, who grins and flashes a cheeky smile. Well, I'll be on my way. If anyone asks, I'm going to get more cotton candy. She walks away. When she is out of sight, I collapse, falling to the ground on my knees. Not now. I'm in public. I try not to let the tears fall. Not now, not now. If that isn't Mina. Where's the real Mina? Weren't there people around to see me being chased by a girl with a knife? What if she was hiding it while running and they all thought we were playing? Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Bakugu! I look up and see Todoroki. I don't know why, but he calms me down. He has a worried look on his face. Are you okay? What happened? And don't tell me, nothing, I know that's a lie. I notice he is holding both my arms. I finally give in. I know who the traitor is. I tell him. He looks at me confused. Worry still in his eyes. What? I can't tell you here. I want to go back to the dorms. Todoroki nods and takes out his phone. I stand up while he starts texting. I look at him and he tells me, I sent a message to the others saying we are leaving early. I nod and we start walking. Before I know it, we are at the entrance to the carnival. Then the dorms. Everything flies by as I'm thinking about it. I look at Todoroki occasionally to calm myself down a little. Before I know it, I'm at the door to our dorm. Todoroki opens it and I enter. He enters after me. When I hear the sound of the door close, I drop onto the floor and the tears pour out. I don't worry about Todoroki at all. I guess it's because I have more important things to worry out. He comforts me, probably just waiting for me to SCK at the F up so I can tell him who the traitor is. Mina. I choked out. Mina. The traitor. He stayed silent for a few minutes while I tried to stop crying and wipe my tears. I was failing miserably. What did she do to you? I sniffed and wiped the tears from my face. I couldn't speak. It's okay. You can tell me tomorrow. He tells me. I nod. After what again feels like hours, I stop crying. Maybe you should get some sleep, he tells me. You had a stressful day. I nod and stand up, walking over to my room. Todoroki watches from the door as I lay in bed. I instantly fall asleep. Todoroki's POV. Bakugu is still asleep at 10 a.m. I leave the dorm room and find Tsu talking to Mina. Mina waves at me and Tsu smiles. I just wave and leave. I walk to the school, hopefully he's there. I walk to the classroom and look through the window to see Mr. Aizawa. He seems to be grading papers, unenthusiastically. I walk into the classroom. He looks at me. Well, this is interesting. What are you doing here, Todoroki? He sighed. I know who the traitor is. He raised an eyebrow. I frustratingly graded Kaminari's paper. This boy needs serious tutoring. I see Todoroki enter and look up at him. Well, this is interesting. What are you doing here, Todoroki? I ask him. He responds with a completely unexpected answer. I know who the traitor is. I raised my eyebrow. I was also shocked. Did he really know who the traitor is? Are you sure? Positive. He tells me. Todoroki isn't one to lie, so I have no reason not to believe him. Who is it? Mina Ishido. Geez, he's so formal. Mina? Why the hell would Ishido work with the league? Do you know why? I ask him. He looks at me blankly. No. But Bakuga does. He told me. And how does he know? I don't know. He just told me it was her. How do you know Bakugu isn't lying? I ask. It could be absolutely anyone, so we have to be sure. I can assure you he isn't. I can go get him now if you want me to. He offers. Sure, why not? He nods and leaves the classroom. I go back to grading Kaminari's paper. I luckily finish it before Todoroki comes back. I go on to grading Ishido's paper. Her grades have been dropping, slowly, recently, but that's not evidence of any foul play. When I finish hers, Todoroki walks back in with Bakugu, who looks like he just woke up from a 12-hour nap. I know because it's what I look like after waking up from a 12-hour nap. I stay silent as Bakugu quietly yells at Todoroki. Most of their conversation just goes in one ear and out the other. Are you gonna tell me how Mina Ishido is the mole? They look at me and then back at each other. Have they been getting along? Maybe I should lock Bakugu and Midoriya in a room then. See how that goes. I know for a fact it's Mina, Bakugu starts, because she attacked me yesterday when we were at a carnival. What does that prove? She isn't Mina. It's Toga from the League of Villains. If we brought her here, maybe we can prove it. I thought for a second. I'd have to discuss it with the other teachers and see what to do from there if they were being honest. I'll discuss with the pro heroes and teachers what to do. You guys go back to the dorms. Keep an eye on Toga. The two nodded and left the room, arguing. Immediately I called Nizu for an emergency meeting. All the teachers met in less than 10 minutes. So what is this meeting for, Aizawa? Midnight questioned. I got information on who the possible traitor could be. And where did you get this information? Nizu asked in his usual too happy to be happy tone. From two students. Bakugu Katsuki and Todoroki Shudo. And what did they say? Mike joined the conversation. That it was someone in Class 1A. Their fellow classmate, Mina Ishido. They say it's Toga in disguise. And how do they know? Midnight asked. Ugh, too many questions. When we let a few students leave campus to go to that carnival, Bakugu was attacked. I told the two to just go back to the dorms and keep an eye on Toga. That raises a lot of questions. Nizu drank some tea. Exactly. Like where's the real Mina Ishido? The league is most likely keeping her somewhere. So Toga can get to her easily. I tell them. It's at least what I assume. We need to find where they're keeping her and we need to keep Toga under control here. Midnight says. So then we must create plan. Nizu smiled. We probably spent more than 2 hours discussing the plan and what exactly we were going to do. Sadly, the plan involved some of my students. And I was the one who had to tell them the plan in class. I'm too tired for this. I go back to grading papers, uninterrupted. When I'm done, I go to sleep for the day. Tomorrow and the day after are going to be stressful. I woke up earlier than usual, which SCKS. I still want to sleep. I can't sleep in class because this time I have to teach and keep an eye on Toga. What a pain. I arrive in the classroom earlier than expected. No one is in class yet, except for Ida, who was too into the book Mike assigned them for English. I sighed and walked out. I need some coffee. I'm walking into the teacher's lounge where Nizu is there sipping his tea. How do you think your students will take it? He asked. Shocked at first. But I know how they are. They'll get angry at the league and no doubt a group of them will go for Mina despite my best efforts of telling them not to. I made my coffee in the coffee maker. Yes. The troublemakers of UA. Nizu laughed. I gave a small smile back. They may be troublemaking little brats, but I like all of them. Except for Mineta, maybe. My coffee finishes and I drink half before Nizu leaves and it's just me. I said it once, I'll say it again, this is gonna be stressful. When I finish my coffee and head to 1A room, all the students are there. When they see me enter, they sit in their seats. I look at Bakugu and Todoroki, who are looking at Mina/Toga, who is whispering to Uraraka and Hagakure. They aren't subtle. I cleared my throat and everyone looked at me. I have some important details I must share with a few of you after school. Sadly, it's not good news. All their happy faces turned into worried ones. Except for a few, I continued. The people I need to talk to are Bakugu, Todoroki, Ida, and Tsuyu. Ida and Tsuyu were clearly questioning it, Bakugu and Todoroki already knowing what was up were fine. Bakugu having his normal aggressive face. And Todoroki his blank one. Though I saw something new in Bakugu's eyes. It wasn't anger. More at fear. Even if it's something, I'll discuss it with him. I finished at that and got to work. At the end of the day, everyone left except for the four. I'm sure you're all wondering what you're doing. Tsu nodded in response. Well, we found who the mole is? Ida grew tense. It's one of your fellow classmates. I paused before continuing, Mina Ishido. What? But Mina wouldn't dash. That's because it isn't Mina. It's Himiko Toga. And I realize you fought her at the training camp incident, which is why I called you here. She looked shocked and sad. Ida raised his hand, unnecessary. Yes. Where is the real Mina then? We don't know. We still have to look into that. To do that we need to interview Toga. Which is why you guys are here. So you can help because she knows a little of how Toga fights. Ida is here, he has a chance of not getting cut by her knife. He's fast. He can also restrain her. Same with Bakugu and Todoroki, I can tell they're listening intently. And I would also like to add that Bakugu and Todoroki are the ones who told me about Mina. But how'd you know? Ida asked. Bakugo rolled his eyes. He wasn't paying as much attention as everyone else, I could tell. She attacked him. Todoroki said. Okay, something is definitely up with those two. We can discuss this tomorrow before or after class. Maybe lunch. But for now you guys should just keep an eye on her. They all nodded and headed out. Bakugo. He looked at me. I gestured for him to come back. He did while the others left. You alright? Yeah, I'm fucking alright. Why? He angrily says. There's little fire in his voice. Just asking. Goodbye. He left. Obviously something's not right. I'll have to keep an eye on him as well. Bakugo's POV. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. A&G Aizawa is questioning things now. Why the F is this so hard? FING sheet. This is getting too much. Too many tears, too much throwing up. Little food. And it feels like everything is blurring together. What the F dash? I walk back to the dorms and see Todoroki talking with Deku, Uraraka, and Ida. The two are probably trying to get the other two to talk about what Aizawa told us. I honestly wasn't listening that much. I already know what's happening. I press the elevator button and the doors open almost immediately. I step in and click on the floor of my room. Hold the door. I hear someone say as the doors almost close. I hold it open for the person. She enters and the doors close. It's Toga, still looking like Mina. If I knew it was her, I would have let the doors close. Hey, Katsuki. It's just you and me alone again. She smiles, letting her facade drop. Like back when we took you. Oh no. Not right now. I'd really like to forget that forever. Remember that. With all my knives. I'm sure the cuts have healed by now. She stays smiling the entire time. Shiggy told me not to take any of your blood. I really wish I could have taken some. But I'll get it next time. Next time. I take a deep breath. Well, there won't be a next time. And I'm going to find Mina. You can count on that. I say confidently. She's clearly surprised by my statement, but she smiles nonetheless. I'm gonna be so happy when you realize that you're wrong. The elevator doors open and I leave. She waves at me as the doors close. I quickly go into the dorm and break down. What the hell? That was so dangerous. I've been in worse. Why is this scaring me? Why is this happening? But, why? I go into my room, where I see something on the bed. It's the Pomeranian plush Todoroki won at the carnival. Did he leave it here? I find a note on the bed. Keep him. Todoroki. I smile softly. It isn't a big smile, but it's something. I lay onto the bed, cuddling the plushie. I slowly drift off to sleep. I didn't know this at the time, but Todoroki saw me cuddling the DMN thing when I was asleep. And he smiled. Slowly closing my bedroom door. Before class started, I needed to talk to Bakugo. I know he hasn't been eating and I know he cuts. He's grown weaker because of it. He can't fight as his usually fast speeds, which is one reason why Aizawa chose him to get Toga. He needed to start eating and stop cutting. Right now he is in the bathroom. He's been in there for a while. I hope he isn't doing anything again. But knowing him, he probably is. I want to knock on the door or burst in, but I don't know how to go about it. I do know where he is coming from. Not fully, but I know he's experiencing what I've experienced. Just differently. Instead of the league, it was my father. I take a deep breath. I doubt I'll regret anything. I walk over to the bathroom door and slowly knock a few times. I hear a clank and Bakugo says something along the lines of, "Sheet. Motherfucker. You okay in there?" "Yeah. I'm fine. We need to talk." He didn't respond for a few seconds. "About?" was his response. "Something important. I'll tell you when you come out." I sat in a chair and played a game on my phone. It wasn't long before he came out and sat in a nearby chai. "So what do you want?" I turned off my phone and looked at Bakugo's arms. He put them behind his back. This is a conversation that has to happen. No matter how hard it'll be. Especially with the stuff with Toga coming up. We won't exactly finish the conversation now. It'll probably be a long one. I took a deep breath. Bakugo, you have been trying to avoid it, but we can't really avoid this any longer. I know about the cutting. I looked down, judging from what happened when I was walking you home that one night. You probably have anxiety. Plus the nightmares. Bakugu, I know. When I look back at him, I see he is crying. I wasn't surprised. Not anymore. So what are you gonna do? Tell everyone? Pick on me? Absolutely not. I want to try and help. Especially with this Toga and Mina stuff going on. You'll need to be in good shape. Both of us say nothing. We just look down. Bakugu wipes his tears. We need to head to class. He said. We'll talk after we meet with Mr. Aizawa. The rest of the day went by in a blur. We met with Aizawa and he told us to keep an eye on Toga again. Soon she'll need to get Mina's blood, which means Mina is alive but with the League. We'll be following her around on shifts. She'll probably catch on sooner or later and become more stealthy. We might have to let the rest of the class know. When we were done with that, we came back to the dorms to finish our conversation. I've been thinking about what you said this morning. He started the conversation. I'll accept your help. Is there a catch? I've watched too many movies. No. I just don't want to be weak. And I don't want to feel this way anymore. He looks down again. Before I can say anything, he clears his throat. So what do I do? He asks, looking at me. I can practically see the deadness in his eyes. For now we can work on not cutting and eating. He looked sad. All right. Bakugu's POV. All right. I tell him even though I know I don't deserve it. I don't deserve anyone's help. The only reason I said yes is because he thinks I'm weak. Which means everyone else probably thinks I'm weak. I need to get stronger. But I don't deserve his help. I deserve not to eat. I deserve to be hurt. Even if I don't want to feel this way. I deserve it. What do you use? What? To cut. Still blunt as ever. But I did hear a bit of hesitation. He also seems like he's uncomfortable with talking about this. I won't question it though. In the bathroom. Under the sink. I have a lot of sharp objects I can use. He stands up and walks to the bathroom. I watch as he opens the cabinet under the sink and takes out all the sharp objects and things I can use to hurt myself. I'll keep these with me. If that's all right. I nod and he takes them into his room. He comes back out and looks at my arms. I know he wants to see the cuts. Not yet. I don't want you to see them any more than you already have. I tell him. Even if he saw only for a moment. He nods, respecting my decision. My curiosity gets the best of me. How are you so calm about this? How do you know what to do? Todoroki looks at me, not expecting the questions I asked him. Would it make you feel better if I told you? He questioned. I slowly nodded. He sits down and takes a deep breath before continuing. My father. Since the first day I got my quirk, he trained me. So I could be like him. If I didn't do what he said, he'd sometimes beat me senseless. Verbally and physically. I started to go through what you went through. I cut. Stopped eating. I even tried suicide multiple times. There are still scars. Todoroki rolled up his sleeve and I saw the very faded scars. You could barely see them, but some were still there. Wow. I didn't know. Sorry to make you talk about it. I reply. It's all right. My siblings helped a lot. He smiled slightly at the thought. And now I get to help you. Todoroki full-on smiled. With his teeth slightly showing and everything. I smile back. You look like an idiot. I was barely paying attention in class. I'll just stay up all night studying anyways since I have nothing else to do. At lunch I'll be forced to sit and eat. I could throw it up later, but another rule is I'm not allowed to lock the bathroom door. After class we all met Aizawa again. I thought he was going to tell us to just keep our eyes on Toga, but this time was different. We all stayed after class and he waited until everyone was long gone before he spoke. I'm sure you all think I'm going to tell you to keep watching Toga. But sadly that isn't the case anymore. I'm sure you're all aware of how her quirk works. She ingests the blood of the person she turns into. So we know she's keeping Mina somewhere. She'll need more blood soon. So she'll leave to go get it. Or someone from the League will come here. To us. To her. He stopped to let us process what he was saying. Which means soon we will find Mina Ishido. Really soon. So here is the plan. Uraraka's POV. I walk back to my dorm chatting with Mina. We talk about the schoolwork. Since we have the same dorm we walk to it and start the homework together. We finished the homework quickly, so we decided to go downstairs and hang with the others if they were finished with theirs. As we got into the elevator, we saw Tsu. "Hey Tsu." I waved. She looked at me and then at Mina. "Can I talk to you, Uraraka? Alone." I looked a little confused and turned to Mina. The elevator door opened and she stepped out. "You guys have your chat? See you later." She left to go chat with Momo. "What's up, Tsu?" I smiled. The words she said next were shocking. She told me that Mina, one of my closest friends, and my roommate was actually Toga, the psychopathic villain who loves me and Deku too much. I had so many questions. How could I not know? How long has she been Toga? Why are you telling me? Was the question I asked out loud. Because for Mr. Aizawa's plan to work you need to know. Since you're her roommate. I still had so many questions, but I knew we probably didn't have time to get them all answered. I pushed all the questions to the back of my mind. They can be answered later. What's the plan? Everyone was hanging out in the common area of the dorm building. They were all going to watch movies and sleep there as a huge sleepover. Everyone was invited except for Mineta because the first time they did a huge slumber party like that he tried to take pictures of the girls in their sleep. The 5 students who knew about Toga had a plan that was going to be set in motion. Before they put on the first movie, Uraraka took Toga into the kitchen area, far away so no one could hear the class discussion. She was to distract Toga as long as she could. Ida started, "Everyone, I have an announcement to make. Please know that you will all have questions and none of them will be answered right away. You just need to trust us and follow the plan dash." Bakugu interrupted, "You're taking too long." He groaned. "Well, do you want to explain?" "Not really. I'll just say it." Tsu said before any of them could start talking again. "The traitor is Mina. But it's not Mina. It's the villain Himiko Toga." There were small gasps and whispers which were quickly cut off as Yaoyorozu shushed everyone so they could listen before the two came back. "She needs Mina's blood to keep pretending to be Mina. She'll need it soon. Maybe tonight. So we have to keep a good eye." Tsu finished. "We have informed Mineta and he is, strangely but not unexpectedly, very okay with keeping an eye on her." Ida informed. The girls shuddered. "Just make sure to sleep with one eye open." Todoroki blandly stated. Uraraka came in first, peeking her head around the wall to warn everyone Toga is coming. "So, did you guys pick a movie?" Toga asks. "Yeah, we chose All Might, Civil War." Midoriya clicked on the first movie on the TV. "Whose side are you guys on?" "I'm Team Endeavor." Uraraka said, sitting by Midoriya. "Let me guess, because of Hawks?" Tokoyami asked. "Whose side are you on?" Yaoyorozu asked. The conversation went on for whose side is on who the entire movie. They watched one more movie, a comedy romance movie. The girls chose it and almost everyone fell asleep watching it. Bakugu turned off the TV and lay down. He couldn't really go to sleep, like most nights. But for Todoroki he's trying. Bakugu closes his eyes so he can true to sleep. He turns occasionally. After a while he determines that he cannot and will not sleep. He'll just pretend to sleep and when Toga gets up he'll follow. An hour later Bakugu can feel Mineta staring. Even if he isn't staring at him. The only girls remotely close to him was Yaoyorozu. He quietly threw a pillow at Mineta and pointed to a sleeping Toga. He was supposed to be watching her. Hours later, it's around 2 in the morning. Bakugu still can't sleep. Bags are forming under his eyes. He turns, facing Todoroki. He just looks at him. Todoroki is sleeping peacefully. He looks so calm and serene. Bakugu hears a rustling. Too much for someone who's asleep. He opens one of his eyes slightly. He can see Toga walking quietly and calmly. He can wake up someone, which could take too much time, or go himself. He decides to do both. Bakugu shakes Todoroki. As his eyes start to flicker open slowly, he takes his leave, silently following Toga. She seems to have it in her mind that no one is following her. She just skips off campus, humming to herself. Bakugu looked behind him. No one was following them. At least no one he saw. Bakugu continued following Toga. When she turned a corner he quickly speed-walked to catch up with her. When he turned the corner she was standing still, waiting for him. "Morning, Katsuki." Walk with me. She creepily smiled. A bead of sweat made its way down his face. He was about to activate his quirk when someone spoke. That wasn't an offer. He felt a hand on his shoulder. No, not a full hand. 4 fingers. It was Shigaraki. Bakugo almost immediately gave up on fighting. He couldn't fight them. Not at all. Bakugo looked down, slumping his shoulders. It was a long, slow walk. They arrived at an abandoned building. When they walked in, they passed a room with a flickering fluorescent light and a dirty, bloody mattress. On the mattress was the real Mina Ishido. She looked fine. Before Bakugo could say anything, Shigaraki shushed him. You're coming with me. They walked to another room. It looked exactly the same. Only there wasn't blood on Bakugo's mattress. Shigaraki tossed him inside the room. He's all yours. He exited the room and Toga entered. Welcome back, Katsuki. Then the screams started. Mina covered her ears, but they were so loud. She couldn't do anything but sit there cry. Todoroki's eyes fluttered open. When he sat up, he saw Bakugo leaving. He looked over to where Toga was. She wasn't there either. Todoroki quickly sprung into action. He turned on the light, which made some people wake up. He woke up others and told his sleepy classmates what he'd seen. That means they were in danger. Midoriya ran to get Aizawa. If they had just left, they couldn't be far. There were cameras. They could easily find Bakugo, Mina, and the villains. Hopefully. Everyone got dressed, out of their pajamas and into their hero suits. Aizawa ran to check the security cameras. He followed every street they turned. Then they approached onto a street with no camera. Which means Bakugo and Mina were in one of the buildings there. In less than 10 minutes, the students and Aizawa were searching through buildings. Kirishima was with Yaoyorozu. They heard a loud scream in the building they were in. They looked at each other. Not saying a word but understanding each other completely. Yaoyorozu left the building to get Aizawa and more. Kirishima ran deeper into the building, looking for anyone. When he turns a corner, he's met with the villain Spinner. Sorry, wannabe. You aren't getting any farther than here. He pulled out all of his knives and swords. Where's Bakugo and Mina? Spinner didn't answer. Instead, he ran for Kirishima. He activated his quirk in defense. When Spinner's weapons made contact with Kirishima's hardened skin, some of them shattered into pieces. Some of Kirishima's hardening cracked as well. They engaged in an all-out battle. Bakugo screamed as Dabi's flames were centimeters away from his cheek. They burned so much. He was burning him. It hurt so much. My turn, Toga said as she pulled a knife seemingly out of nowhere. The pain was becoming unbearable. Burn marks clearly visible on his skin. Toga made the pain worse. She would cut the burn marks, making him scream louder. She liked the blood off her knife and digested it. Stop. Please stop. You could hear Mina yell. They can hear a shout. Someone saying something. All they can hear is the echo of, coming. Help. Mina screamed. Make sure you don't kill him. Shigaraki told Toga. He looked at Dabi, who knew immediately what he was going to say. Shut the girl up. He left the room. Tears of pain flooded down Bakugo's face. She continued to cut him. She was having fun. Enjoying his pain. Mr. Compress ran to Shigaraki. What are we gonna do, boss? That meddlesome class 1A and their teacher is here. It's just us, we can't possibly win. It'll be impossible. Shigaraki thought for a second. If we can't win, we can at least take something from them. He scratched just neck and went inside the room with Bakugo and his now bloodied mattress. He gestured for Toga to leave. She pouted and liked the rest of his blood off her knife, leaving the room. Shigaraki walked over to Bakugo, who was a little out of it from pain, everything blurry from the tears yet to fall from his eyes. Waste of space. I don't know why they're risking their lives to save you. Ishido I get, but you? Achim. He said as he put 4 fingers on his shoulder. Bakugo was shaking. If you can stop that. You might make me accidentally. Shigaraki pulled his thumb a few more centimeters closer to Bakugo's shoulder. Just effing you do it. He whispered. Shigaraki looked at him. Just put me out of misery. Bakugo cried. Shigaraki let out a smile no one could see from behind the hand over his face. No, Bakugo looked at Shigaraki, who scratched his neck with his free hand. I want you to suffer. Like I've suffered. I want you to know how it's like. You will never find happiness. In that moment Bakugo did what no one would have thought he would do. He grabbed Shigaraki's arm and put it on his shoulder. He shut his eyes tight, expecting to feel pain or something. Instead he was met with some of his fellow classmates at the door along with Aizawa, who had activated his quirk. Shigaraki was knocked against the wall by Kirishima. Baku bro? You okay? There was lots of worry in his voice. Bakugo nodded. He wiped the tears from his face quickly. How's Mina? Bakugo asked. She's fine, answered Aizawa. No harm came to her except for cuts on her arms for Toga. Who has been handled? Shigaraki groaned and scratched his neck. Aizawa's eyes glowing a faint red from behind his goggles, stopping Shigaraki from doing any damage. The students took Toga, Shigaraki, and Spinner. Dabi the other villains got away and the threat of the League still stands, as long as one is alive. But for now all they could do is wait and get Mina and Bakugo to safety. When they got to Recovery Girl, back at Yua, she insisted that Bakugo he first to be healed, but he denied and let Mina go first. Almost everyone objectified but he insisted. When she healed them they immediately passed out. Mina slept for a few hours. She had lost a lot of blood but she was going to be fine. Bakugo was cut deep in some places and they left a few scars on his arms and stomach. Todoroki, Kaminari, and Kirishima stayed inside to watch and wait for him to wake up. They did ask why Todoroki stayed and he answered with, "We've grown closer since we've became dorm mates." They shrugged it off. "I'm going to go get some snacks. Do you guys want any?" Kirishima asked, getting up from the chair he was sitting in. "I'm good." Todoroki answered. "I could go for some pretzels." Kaminari said. Kirishima have a thumbs up and left the room. The two boys sat in silence for a few seconds. The only thing that could be heard was their and Bakugo's breathing. "Hey, we both arrived at the same time, a little earlier than everyone else, right?" Kaminari asks. "Yes." Todoroki answered simply. "So you saw it. What he did?" Todoroki took a deep breath. "Yes." "What do we do?" "I don't know." Tension filled the air. They didn't talk for minutes until Kirishima came in. "Here's your pretzels." He handed the bag of pretzels to Kaminari, who gladly took them. As he opened the bag, Bakugo woke up in a cold sweat. He looked around frantically. "Calm down Bakugo, it's us," Kaminari said. He looked at all of them and calmed down, taking a sigh of relief. "Are you all right?" Todoroki asked. "Yeah." "How long has it been?" "What day is it?" "You've been out for 3 days." "It's fine. Mr. Aizawa gave us no class for a week." Kaminari smiled. "Want a pretzel?" Bakugo shook his head no. "I'll go get Recovery Girl. To see if you're allowed to go back to the dorms." Todoroki said, and with that he was gone. When Recovery Girl cleared him to go back, she warned him to take it slow. No training or anything. She gave him some pain meds just in case anything came back to hurt. He nodded and let his friends walk him back to his dorm. They offered to stay with him but he said he wanted to be left alone and closed the door in their faces. The two bros at each other, worry clear on their faces. "How are you feeling?" Todoroki asks him. He just nods. He hasn't said anything much since he woke up. "Do you want to talk about it?" He shook his head no. "Will you be alright dash?" He didn't finish the question before Bakugo interrupted him. "Stop asking stupid FNG questions, icy hot. Do you need compan dash? Just go do something that requires for you to not talk to me. I want to be alone." Bakugo said. He looked up at Todoroki and said, "Please." The look in his eyes was so empty, filled with nothing but the darkness of the abyss. Todoroki wanted to do nothing but stay by his side, but he decided against it. "If you need anything." He took out his phone. Bakugo nodded. Todoroki sighed and left the room, looking at Bakugo one more time before closing the door and leaving. After looking at the door for a while, Bakugo had a breakdown. He sobbed and cried, looking at the scars Toga had left. He touched the shoulder where Shigaraki's cold hand touched and cried. I can't do this anymore. He said to himself, I can't. Bakugo pulled out pain meds recovery girl gave him. He opened the bottle and poured almost all of them into his hands. I just can't. He popped them in his mouth. I was watching a movie with everyone. We were all pretty worried about Bakugo and Mina. At least the threat was dealt with. After the movie ended, I got up and went into the kitchen. I'll get some water for Bakugo. He might be thirsty. Hey, what you doing? Kaminari asks me. Getting some water for Bakugo. He might be thirsty. You two are becoming close. I can tell. Can I come with you? I want to make check up on him. He asks nervously. Okay. I say. He smiles and we head to the elevator. When it opens, we see Mina. Hey, you alright? Kaminari asks. Yeah. Just gonna get some water. Also, it was getting boring just laying in bed all day. If you want, me and Ida can hang with you. I bet that'll be fun. She rolled her eyes. Thanks, but I'll be okay. She laughed. Just call if you need anything. I cracked a smile at the conversation. Mina got out of the elevator and walked to the kitchen. Uraraka and Tsu meeting her on the way. We entered the elevator and clicked the button. What do you think he's doing? How he's taking this? I asked Kaminari. Best case scenario, he's trying to sleeping through it. Was his answer. Before I said anything else, the elevator door opened and we stepped out. As we walked to the door, I felt like something was wrong. I looked at Kaminari, who could also tell. It felt like we were walking in slow motion. My heartbeat got faster. I could hear it beating in my ears. The two of us rushed over to the door and both reached for the doorknob. I grabbed it and opened the door. Everything froze. The water bottle I had dropped into floor as we saw Bakugo's seemingly lifeless body. I ran over to him, looked at the empty bottle of meds in his hand. Call 911. I said. Kaminari didn't say or do anything. He looked horrified. Now. I yelled. He took a deep, sharp breath and pulled out his phone. Calling as quickly as he could. Stay with us, Bakugo. Come on, stay with us. Stay with me. I whispered. My voice breaking. This wouldn't have happened if I had stayed with him. Talk to him. Something. Anything. When the ambulance showed up and there was panic as to why they were here. When they went inside to get Bakugo and everyone looked around at the scene. They put two and two together. A few of the students went to the hospital along with Mr. Aizawa. Me included. After a while, a doctor came out to talk to Mr. Aizawa. I only heard bits and pieces of their conversation. Doctor, how is he? Mr. Aizawa asked. The overdose stopped oxygen from getting to his brain, which can shut down other organs like the kidney and heart, I inhaled. Luckily you found him before any of this could happen. He's going to be fine. But he may not wake up for a while. I exhaled. He's strong. He'll wake up soon. Will I know it? Were the parents contacted? The doctor asked Mr. Aizawa. He nodded. We tried to call but there was no answer. We found that they're on a business trip out of country. They don't know about Bakugo. What I was really worried about was Bakugo. What he did. Where we are. It brought back memories for me as well. I stood up. Todoroki, where are you going? Midoriya asked me. Bathroom. I walked to it. God damn it. I didn't realize I started to care this much for Bakugo. And he probably doesn't even give me a second thought. Damn it, Bakugo. Don't you know your actions affect everyone else around you? I know from personal experience. When I was in the same spot you were. After I tried the same thing. Damn it, Bakugo. Why am I caring so much about you? Damn it. I take a deep breath and turn on the sink to cold water. I put my hands under it and splash my face with it. I take a moment to get myself calm and collected again. When I exited the bathroom, I went back into the hall where everyone else was. They were gone. I asked a man who worked there and he told me they went into Bakugo's room. I thanked him and almost ran to the room. I saw almost everyone crowded around him. Most of them had tears in their eyes. Especially Midoriya. They don't get along from what I can tell, but they still have that bond. Uraraka is comforting him while crying herself. Damn it, Bakugo. I guess there's only one way to keep him from doing this again. I'll have to be by his side. I know what he's going through. What could go wrong? Bakugo's POV. Everything is black. I'm drowning. Am I dying? I hope so. All my pain. The pain I've caused on others will be gone. Drowning. Deeper. Further. Calmer. I hear distant cries. Those? Where are they coming from? I start going up. But wouldn't it be better if I just drowned? Damn it. I hear a clear voice. We need a parent or guardian. Are you one of the two? I'm his teacher. Doesn't that counts for something? I hear a familiar voice, Mr. Aizawa's. Kaken, Deku? Please wake up. Those can't be real. All the hurt I put Deku through. I deserve to drown. I deserve this. What I'm drowning in becomes thicker. Instead of peacefully going down, I'm in the middle of a powerful storm in the ocean. I can't breathe. Damn it. Why am I struggling? Wouldn't it be easier to just die? Why am I fighting? Please come back to us, Bakugu. That's why. There might just maybe be someone. Anyone who cares. I don't want to be like this. I don't. But life is so hard and I don't know how long I can take. Damn it. I'm fighting. Trying to swim back up. Damn it, come on. Damn it. Please come back to us, Bakugu. I'm trying. Kaken, please wake up. I'm coming, nerd. Damn it. It's been a week. We had to go back to class, but occasionally we'd visit Bakugu. Later after school, me and Midoriya are going to go visit him again. Everyone in class was distracted and couldn't focus. We had all grown accustomed to Bakugu's rowdiness. We just expect it every day. We miss it. The named Baku squad and Midoriya were taking it especially hard. For not noticing anything, not being there. They weren't their usual chaotic selves. The entire class changed. That's how it is though with this class. We've gotten used to Bakugu's rowdiness, Ida yelling rules, Midoriya's mumbling. It's so different without them. At the end of class, Midoriya and I quickly head to the dorms and change into regular clothes, and left for the hospital. When we arrived, the man at the front signed us in. Ready. Knowing where we wanted to go because we've been there almost every day on his shifts. Arriving at Bakugu's door, we hear the TV is on. It could be someone else visiting, but no one else came with them, and his parents still didn't know last time I checked. Midoriya opened the door, and when we entered we saw Bakugu watching TV. Kaken. Midoriya ran over to him. How are you feeling? Bakugu looked away and quietly whispered, I'm fine, Deku. Midoriya wasn't used to Bakugu being calm and not angry. He started tearing up. Kaken. His voice squeaky from holding back tears. Why did you do that? Bakugu looked up at him, sadness and emptiness in his eyes. He opened his mouth, thinking of something to say, which was a first. All that came out of his mouth was, I'm sorry, Deku. For everything. He looked down at the sheets he was covered in, clenching them tightly, probably trying not to cry. Midoriya cried and he had to leave the room for a little. It was just me and Bakugu. We sat in silence. There wasn't much to say. After a few minutes, Bakugu spoke. I'm sorry, Todoroki. I just couldn't handle it anymore. He stayed looking down. I get it. I tell him before he can say anything else. You don't have to explain. Does everyone know? He looked at me. That was a pretty stupid question, but I sadly nodded the answer. But since everyone knows, we're all going to try and help. I don't want your stupid help. You only want to help me because you think I'm weak. He slipped out. When he realized what he'd said, he covered his head in between his knees. He really thinks that he's weak. And he thinks that we think he's weak. I sighed. Bakugu, no one thinks you're weak except for you. We all just want to help you realize that. Before Bakugu could say anything, probably protest what I said, Midoriya came in, eyes still red and puffy from crying. He sniffed. Aizawa was notified that you're awake and he's coming now. He told us. I nodded. We spent the rest of the time talking to Bakugu and him giving us vague responses or no responses at all. When Aizawa arrived, we took our leave. Bakugu's POV. Hey kid. Aizawa said to me when Todoroki and Midoriya left. I didn't say anything in return. I get you don't want to talk to anyone. But me and the rest of the staff at UA want to help you with this, okay? I still said nothing. He sighed. Can you at least answer one question I have for you? I took a second before nodding my head yes. I haven't looked at him since he came in. I've been looking down at the sheets of the hospital bed. How long? I knew what he was talking about. How long have I been feeling like this? It wasn't their fault they didn't notice. I didn't want them to notice. But they were still saddened from what Todoroki and Deku told me. How everyone is sad and not themselves. I'm really not that important. Kamino, is all I said. He sighed again. I'm sorry, kid. We should have asked if you were okay or something. Was it something the league said to you? I thought back to what happened when they first took me. They asked me to join them because no one liked my personality or anything. That I should feel bad because of all the shit I put Deku through. And they were right. Why would I tell him to kill himself? And he still seems to look up to me. I'm never gonna be the hero he wants me to be. I should be the one to die. Before I knew it, tears were rolling down my face. I tried to cover my face from Aizawa. Hey, kid, it's okay. You're fine, he said in the calmest voice. I still cried, but it felt nice knowing that Aizawa was there to help. Can I be left alone? I asked him. He nodded and left the room. After a week of keeping me at the hospital, and bringing me a psychiatrist who questioned me and determining whether or not I should be sent to a mental hospital, I finally got to go back to the dorms. Aizawa picked me up. The doctor handed him the antidepressants the psychiatrist assigned me. We walked to Aizawa's car and I hopped into the back seat, even though he asked if I wanted to be in the front. The car ride was silent for the first half. Then Aizawa has to ruin the peace and quiet by talking about my mental health. I talked to the doctors, he started, and the psychiatrist. We all decided on something you may not like. If he's saying that, I'm definitely not going to like it. My mind started wandering to dangerous places. Dangerous thoughts. Before I let it go too far, I spoke. Well, spit it out. No real fire in my voice. We think it would benefit you, he sighed, to get sent to a therapist. What? The statement took me off guard. A therapist? I don't need a therapist. I don't want one. I'm fine. Calm down, Bakugo. He says with no emotion in his voice. How can I calm down? You're sending me to a shrink. Bakugo, don't freak out. Everything is going to be fine. You just need to calm down. Calm down. I didn't notice I was hyperventilating and shaking before. I took deep breaths and calmed down. That was probably one of my calmest panic attacks that didn't escalate. Bakugo, it'll be alright. The therapist is there to help you. And so are we, everyone at UA. You're just trying to make me feel better. So, how is everyone? I subtly changed the subject. Worried said. It's not the same without you. Without the old me, you mean? I can feel it. My mask is broken. There were already cracks forming before. But what I did, like throwing a rock at it. The mask is broken. But I'm still trying to put it together. To wear it again. I don't want them to see the real me. I can't be unmasked more than I already am. When we get back to the dorms, Aizawa pulls out his phone to do something and lets me walk in first. When I do, I immediately notice the handmade banner hanging from Ciro's tape that reads, "Welcome back, Bakugo." I don't even understand. It's not like I was overseas. They shouldn't care about me. But everyone is here, welcoming me back from the hospital. Kaken, are you okay? Deku asks worried. I didn't even notice I was crying. Damn it. I quickly wiped the tears and crossed my arms, turning away. I'm fine, Deku. He was already crying a little before I said that, but when I did, he started bawling his eyes out. I didn't get it, but I didn't say anything either. Midoriya's POV. We were all sitting down, quietly watching TV or doing something with our phones. Mr. Aizawa then walked in and told us he had news. Bakugo is coming back. The hospital gave him the all clear, everyone's faces lit up, do with that information what you will. And he left to pick him up. I say we welcome him back with something big and manly. Kirishima spoke. Maybe a welcome party? Yayorozu suggested. With snacks and drinks and everything. Sato can make cookies. Kaminari added. Bakugo probably wouldn't want something that big. Todoroki said. I agree with Todoroki. Maybe it should be something small. To show we care. I say. Like what? Tokoyami questioned. Maybe a banner saying welcome Bakugo? Jairu mindlessly said. Good idea, Jairu. Yayarosa says, already making the banner. I'll go get markers. Mina hopped off the couch and went to the elevator. We all did something. Kaminari, Ida, and Kirishima made the banner. Sato, Koda, and I helped make snacks, and the others also helped out with everything. Right when we finished setting up, Aizawa sent Ida an email, saying they were here. We all got into position, standing at the front door above the banner. I give him the biggest smile I can without smiling. Even if he is a little mean, he is still my friend. And it hurts to see a friend cry. I may have gotten jealous of him at the sleepover, but I've been jealous of him many times before, when we were kids. He also apologized to me for all the bad things he's said and done. He stares in shock at the banner, saying, "Welcome back, Bakugo," and then he starts to cry. "Kaken, are you okay?" I ask worriedly. He quickly wipes his tears and turns away from us. "I'm fine, Deku," he said. I started to full-on cry. At least he's still him. It wouldn't be Kaken if he didn't call me Deku. Or was some kind of mean to me. Even if Deku is a bad nickname. Uraraka, who was standing beside me, gave me a pat on the back. "It's all right, Deku." "Well, what are we waiting for? Jairu, play the music." Kaminari points at Jairu, who was at the side of the room, next to a small stereo. She hit the play button and some nice music came on. The Baku squad went up to Kaken and left him to the kitchen to eat. They weren't pushy or anything. They were just happy Kaken was back. All of us were. We all took turns talking to him, in groups or individually. There was still an aura of sadness around him. His eyes looked empty like they did at the hospital. Aizawa said he would talk to us all after Kaken went to bed after this party. He left when it started. One of us was supposed to email or text him when it was over. The party finished when Kaken decided it was too late and he wanted to sleep. Todoroki joined him. I was going to protest about Todoroki, but something tells me he already knows what's going on. Aizawa arrived while we were cleaning up. He waited until we finished. We all gathered in or around the couch. This may be hard for you all to hear, but it's something you have too. Please do not blame yourselves for any of what I'm gonna say because I assure you it isn't your fault. Not even I knew, he started. He would probably want to tell you this himself, but the sooner you know the better. When at the hospital, Bakugo was visited by a psychiatrist for what he did. He was later diagnosed with clinical depression. He stopped and gave us a moment to take that in. He has also been frequently cutting. He had clear scars on his arms and legs. I almost broke down crying right there. Even though he told us not to blame ourselves. How could I not? I've known him since we were kids. I should have seen. He hid it so well. I looked at everyone else and saw Kaminari was in fact crying. "You okay, bro?" Kirishima sadly asks. Kaminari shook his head no. When him and Mina were taken, I got to the room Bakugo was in a little before everyone else. Todoroki and I both saw. He couldn't say any more. "It's alright, you don't have to say anything," Aizawa told us, "but we will start changing things at UA to prevent something like this from happening again. Like weekly mental health checks. We, the UA staff, just want you to trust us and know that we will help. For now, go get some rest. It's getting late," he says and takes his leave. We all head to the dorms. I could tell no one was going to sleep easy. After taking the weekend off, it was finally time for me to go back to class. Today we were training, but because of my current state I had to sit out and watch everyone else. Everyone was being a little more considerate to me too. Waving at me and smiling. I hated it. I don't need sympathy, it just makes everything worse. Occasionally when they waved I waved back. With my middle finger. When lunchtime came along I sat with who I usually sit with. Kaminari, Siro, Kirishima, and Mina. Todoroki also decided to show up and sit beside me. We spent the entire time talking. I didn't talk much. Mostly I just scoffed and threw food at Kaminari if he got on my nerves. Everything was normal. Except for when some subjects were accidentally brought up that could possibly trigger something. I had to take the antidepressants anyways this morning and they surprisingly worked. They didn't work much, but it was something. After lunch Mr. Aizawa had another announcement. We'll be going on a trip in a week. It's another training camp that will last 7 days. It will be almost the same as last time but different. I'll explain further when the time comes. For now, do your homework. He said as he got into his sleeping bag. Another trip. I hope this won't be like last time. And if it's in a week, that means I still have one therapist appointment to go to before it. Can't I just not go? Before anyone could come talk to me, I laid my head on the desk, which let everyone know I didn't want to talk. I just stayed like that for a few minutes before falling asleep. Todoroki's POV. I was going to go talk with Bakugo, but before I could, he fell asleep. He honestly looks really cute in his sleep. When it was finally time to leave, I decided to be the one to wake him up. I let everyone leave before I carefully shook him awake. He jumped and looked around first before finally realizing. Class is over. I told him. He quietly packed his stuff and we left for the dorms together. I decided to break the silence. Did you have a nice nap? Shut the F up, icy hot. He said. I took it as a yes. How are you feeling about the training camp next week? I asked. He deeply sighed before saying anything. We can talk in the dorm room. I nodded. Ever since he tried to. He's been quiet. When he was still in the hospital, I visited every chance I could and he warmed up to me. He once said I'm a less sensitive, icy Kirishima. We also bonded a little more over the weekend because Bakugo would still have nightmares about things he wouldn't explain to me. And he had a panic attack once. So I have been sleeping in his bed beside him and the Pomeranian plush he named Queen M for explosion murder. We walked the rest of the way in silence. When we got in the dorm, everyone was doing their homework in a group. Hey Bakubro. Todoroki. Wanna join us in doing the homework? Kirishima asked with a smile. Bakugo shook his head and went to the elevator. I followed, not saying a word. Our fellow classmates understood enough to not do or say anything else and continued with their work. When we finally got into our room, we put stuff down and Bakugo slumped against the wall and onto the floor. I joined and waited for him to talk. He took another deep breath. You want to know how I'm feeling about the training camp? He looked at the floor. Honestly, I feel scared. The threat of the league is still out there, and if they don't appear, another villain always could pop up. Why do I have to feel this way? I saw him trying to hold back the tears. It's not fair what he's been through, and he deserves better. I want to give him better. But I don't know how or what to do. When it was me, I went through it with Fuyumi and Natsuo. But Bakugo has been going through it alone for years. With the sludge villain before school started, getting kidnapped by the league, twice. He probably has a major form of PTSD and anxiety. I slowly put my hand on his shoulder and he looks at me. He's really trying to hold back the tears. He always tries no matter who he's with. They always come out though. I hold out my arms invitingly and he crashed into my chest, hugging me and finally letting out the tears. What the F is wrong with me? He cries. Nothing. I tell him, hugging him. Then why am I so scared of everything? Because no one was there to protect you and help you through the darkness. I so badly wanted to tell him that I would be there for him. That I'll always be here. But couldn't. I just couldn't. We sat there on the floor until Bakugo finished crying into my chest. He looked up at me. Can I ask you something? I nod. Why are you still here? Why do you even want to help me? Because I was you once. Because I like you. You're my friend and I don't want to see you hurt. He buries his head into my chest. Thanks. He mumbles. I give him a sad smile. One that he can't see. Should we go to bed? I bet Queen M is waiting. He laughs and nods. I stand up and hold out my hand to help him up. He sighs. Thanks. He smiles. Before I knew it, the week was over. And the entire time I didn't train and all I did was schoolwork, sleep, watch movies, and get anxiety. I felt like a normal person in general studies. Friday night. I was having an anxiety attack. I was supposed to go to therapy on Saturday. The entire week when I had free time, I looked up other people's experiences. Some were good, but others were bad. What if I got a bad, unhelpful therapist? What if they made me feel worse than I already feel? I can't do this, I can't. So many things could happen. Scenarios just popped into my head of things that could happen, and some of them were very unrealistic, but I couldn't help but worry. Eventually I calmed myself down. Kaminari and Kirishima came into my dorm to check on and we hung out for half an hour before they left. Afterwards, Todoroki came in for the night. How are you feeling? He asks like he does every time he sees me. Nervous. I answer shortly. About therapy? No. About dinner. We're having cold soba. He answers. Are you stupid? You said you were worried about dinner. As a joke. I am worried about therapy. I hesitantly stated. He smiled. Obviously he knew. I rolled my eyes. Todoroki made 3 bowls of cold soba. 1 for me and 2 for him. I sit there and watch him eat his sobas for a few minutes. Are you not hungry? Just no appetite. I say, it's fine. I can tell he was worried. I'm fine. I say and take a bite of the cold soba. I prefer spicy food though. I just didn't want any food right now. Or at all. But everyone tells me to eat because it's important to my health. Plus I have to be healthy to start hero training again. It's boring doing nothing. Todoroki smiles. What? I say. I'm just happy you're alive and okay. I feel my face turn red. What? And this soba tastes good too. He laughs. I can't help but laugh as well. You're so stupidly funny, Shudo. Right when the word left my mouth I regretted it. I looked at Todoroki and his face was as red as my eyes. I'm sorry, I didn't Maya dash, I tried to say. No, it's alright. I kind of liked it, Katsuki. He says. My face also goes red. We sit in silence for a minute and finally we both let out a tiny laugh that eventually evolves into regular, loud laughter. After that I ate and we both finished our sobas and decided to go to sleep for the night. This morning I was expecting Bakugo was gonna be some kind of nervous. What I wasn't expecting was having to pull over while on the road because of an anxiety attack. Along with Todoroki, who was here for emotional support. I was just driving with the 2 students in the back of the car and all of a sudden Bakugo was hyperventilating and crying. Bakugo, it's going to be fine. I try to reassure my distressed student, we'll be right in the other room if anything bad happens. It'll be all right. It was obvious that he couldn't hear me. He was too lost in his own thoughts. He would mumble a few things that I could barely hear. All I got was the words, not safe, death, and blow. Todoroki seemed to hear everything and started whispering to him. After a few minutes Bakugo calmed down and apologized for it. It's alright kid. We get you're scared and worried. But trust us, it'll be fine. I told him. I checked the time. We were going to be a little late, but that didn't matter. Bakugo is the important one in this situation. The rest of the drive was fine with no outbursts or attacks. Bakugo did dig his fingernails into his palms a few times from nervousness. A new unhealthy habit he had picked up recently. I just discovered one of my students was dealing with a mental illness recently. And Bakugo for that matter. I should have known sooner. Should have talked to him. He's always say he was fine and tell us all to F off. And the fact that it got to the point he tried to kill himself twice. Todoroki and Kaminari told the staff about the thing that happened when we saved him and Mina. I should have pushed harder. Should have talked to him after he was kidnapped. The staff and I tried to talk to him but like I said he'd tell us to F off. Before I knew it we had arrived. I parked the car and we all got out. Todoroki held Bakugo's hand while he practically tiptoed into the building. When we arrived in the building Todoroki and I sat down while Bakugo went into the room. The session was supposed to last around an hour. Good thing my phone is almost fully charged. Bakugo's POV. Stepping into the room was one of the hardest parts. The room was small as my dorm room. Their walls were painted a calming blue color and there were 2 chairs with a couch across from it. A woman in her mid-30s sat in one of the chairs. Katsuki Bakugo? She asks. I slowly nod and take a seat on the couch. I have to admit it's a comfy couch. It eased my rapidly beating heart just a little. Hi, I'm Reiki. You can call me Ms. Reiki or Ray, whatever you're most comfortable with. I'm your therapist. She gives me a warm smile. I nervously smile back, looking around the small room, trying to notice other things about it to distract myself. There's a vase on the desk near the chair Ms. Reiki is sitting in. The pillow on the couch looks fluffy. It has a calming pattern to it. Blue and white squiggly lines. Seeing as this is our first session, I think we should get to know each other first. That way you can learn to trust me. I'll ask you a question and you answer it and I also answer the same. Is that okay? She explains. I nod a slow yes. She smiles. So what's your favorite color? She asks me. Orange. I quietly say, my voice is deep. I'm trying not to have any voice cracks or cry. That's a good color. I personally like green. The questions go on for around 15 more minutes. Her questioning me responding. And occasionally she would tell a funny story to lighten the mood and calm my nerves. She then decided to talk about the things I didn't want to talk about. Ms. Reiki started explaining what kind of therapy she does. She does mostly mindfulness-based therapy. That was clear speaking of why I'm here. She also explained the basic things to me about the policy of confidentiality and shit like that. There were a few things she needed to know, obviously, that I needed to give answers to, sadly. So, Katsuki Bakugu dash. Bakugu is fine. I interrupt. My apologies, Bakugu. As I was saying, how are you feeling right now? I feel fine. I answer. Obviously she doesn't believe me. If I was fine then why would I be here? I get that right now you don't trust me. I wouldn't trust me either. Some therapists SEK. I'm sure you looked up therapy stories before coming here. Most of them are probably bad. But there are still good ones that really want to help. Ms. Reiki did seem really nice. Too nice if you ask me. But I still answered. Truthfully, I feel like shit. She looks at me, telling me to elaborate with her eyes. I dig my fingernails into my palm. She seems to notice and stuff. This is a safe place, Bakugu. No one knows anything of what we will and have said. Completely private and no way of knowing. So I let it all out. I feel like shit all the time. About multiple things and because of multiple people. My parents, if you could call them that, pretend I don't exist and didn't even know when I tried to FING kill myself because they're overseas doing some business and my quirk is so destructive and terrible and I hate everything about it and me. When I was younger I bullied this kid named Deku so much and told him to kill himself, which I'm so sorry for. I don't know what I'd do if he kicked the bucket. And I rambled on and on while Ms. Reiki listened carefully. She seemed unfazed by everything I was saying. Just listening intently. I felt like I had talked for hours. My voice was raspy from when I started crying in the middle of my rant. My eyes red from the tears. She offered me a tissue from the tissue box that was also on the desk beside the vase. I see, was all she said. What a terrible therapist. Did talking about it help a little? I opened my mouth to speak but closed it to think. It did feel like a tiny weight left my shoulders. There was still 1,000 pounds of weight on them, but it used to be. I nod. We continued to talk about my mental health until it was done. I apologized to her for putting up with me and she said it was fine. She knew I'd be going on a school trip and wouldn't be seeing me next week, so she offered to walk me out to Mr. Aizawa and Shudo. Ms. Reiki talked to Aizawa while I went over to Shudo. How was it? He asked me. I shrugged. All we did was talk about our favorite foods and then I did a tiny rant. So she'd get to know me better. Was it as bad as you expected? I shook my head. It was way nicer than I thought it'd be. But I still had these problems. I hope the second time seeing her actually helps. Considering she never gave advice or anything. Aizawa finished talking with Ms. Reiki and walked over to us. Time to go, kids, he said plainly. Bakugu, how was it? He asked me. I gave a thumbs up. His face was still devoid of emotion, so I couldn't tell if he was happy or not. We walked out the door and back into Mr. Aizawa's car. I looked out the window the entire time. I still had these bad thoughts and feelings. They are always stuck in my head. They keep on telling me to kill myself. Don't eat. I'm a villain. I dig my fingers into my palm. It hurts and I still think I deserve it. I haven't done it hard enough to bleed. But after leaving that therapy session, Ms. Reiki seems so nice and helpful. I hope she really is. I still don't trust her even though I told her almost everything. But I'm really happy it went well. When we finally arrived back at the dorms, I could tell almost everyone wanted to ask me if it went well and if I was okay. I just went into the elevator and into my dorm. Todoroki didn't follow. I gave him a silent nod saying it was okay to tell them what I had told him. When I got into my dorm, I looked on the floor. In the spot where I had tried committing suicide. I've honestly been avoiding that area. And I'll continue to avoid it. I go into my room and shut the door, locking it this time. Soon I'll have to go on this FANG field trip. The field trip. Shit, why did I have to think about that? All the happiness left my body as I started thinking of all the bad things that could happen. I can't think of what ifs. I just have to focus on the positive. Positive. Like I guess spending time with the class. With Todoroki. I get to participate in class again now too. Everything will be fine. Everything is fine. The rest of the week went by really fast. I was so busy with schoolwork and finally getting to use my quirk again that I didn't even realize it was time to go on the trip. I had to rush to pack and I cursed myself for forgetting to pack. When I finally finished and quadruple checked because anxiety won't allow me to check just 2 times. I went with Todoroki and the other kids on the bus. Aizawa was in the back of the bus with All Might in the front and Present Mike in the middle. I sat in the back, closer to Aizawa. The bus was 3 per seat, so I sat in between Todoroki, who was at the window seat, and Kaminari, whose legs were out on the aisle as he talked to Kirishima and Siro on the seat across from us. My headphones were in my ears and my eyes were closed. I just let the music flow. After a while I dozed off to sleep. I leaned my head onto Todoroki's shoulder. Before I fully dozed off I could hear Mina and some of the other girls at me. It was slurred, but I remember saying one thing before total darkness and sleep overcame me. Fuff. I'm not gonna lie when I tell you I expected it to be a nice field trip. In a nice place with nice scenery where we can relax and work on our quirks. Not a rainforest that was literally always raining along with freezing cold weather which made it colder thanks to the rain. Some of us were fine. Some of our quirks could handle it. For example, Kirishima hardened his arm and used it as a personal umbrella. Mineta was surprisingly smart and made an umbrella out of a bunch of his ball. I was fine about the cold because of my fireside. And Yaoyorozu made an umbrella. Yaoyorozu, please be a good friend and make me an umbrella. Uraraka whined. Some more people joined in, asking for her to make them umbrellas. Hold on, she said. She turned around, her back facing us, and created something really big and long. When she revealed it to us, it was probably the hugest umbrella in the world. It was enough to fit all of us under it, along with some more. It was really heavy, so some of us helped carry it. Or else we'd be crushed by it. When we finally arrived to the destination the teachers were pointing us in, there were a few cabins. Just barely enough for all of us. I'm guessing they are testing how we do in rough climates in a place that's not the USJ. A place that's natural where anything can happen. The cabins were small. They were also made entirely of wooden logs. Probably from the same trees that were here. Go choose your cabin. 5 a cabin. Present Mike told us. We all closed the huge umbrella and tossed it to the side. Tossing wasn't the best idea, as the wind picked up drastically and blew it away. So we hurried and ran to the cabins before one of us blew away. Some of us aren't sure Hagakure made it out alive. The people in my cabin are Bakugu, which I'm very happy about. Midoriya, we're friends, so that's cool. Ida, we are friends as well, so again cool. And Kaminari, who was okay. We didn't talk that much. Yo Baku bro, Kaminari said between breaths, we're bunk buddies. All of us were soaking wet. But when Ida spoke and did his weird hand gestures we have all gotten accustomed to, causing some of the water on his hands to splash in our faces. As we are to be cabin mates, I have a few rules we should follow. To make this easier, he spoke. Kaminari ignored him and walked off to explore the cabin. I looked around too. In the place we were in there was just a damp carpet on the floor with 3 unlit candles on a small stand beside a couch made of wood, with a quilted blanket covering it to prevent us from getting splinters most likely. There was another small stand beside it with 2 unlit candles and a lighter, in case we needed to light them. But me or Bakugu's quirk could do that just fine. There were 2 doors as well. One on each side of the place. After Ida finished explaining his set of rules. With no one but Midoriya listening, Kaminari came back from one of the 2 rooms. Guys, come look at this. He gestured for us to enter. When we see the room doesn't have beds made of wood or something like that, which I honestly expected. But instead there were 2 hammocks on each side of the room and 1 extra in the middle of the room. One above the other. It was like one of the sleeping chambers you'd see in a pirate movie or something. I call the top one. Kaminari immediately ran to the one on top, struggling to get onto it. Midoriya chose the other top one. Ida chose the one below Midoriya and Bakugo chose the middle. So, no one could look down on him. Which left me with the one under Kaminari. There was a tiny window that I looked out of. The rain seemed like it wouldn't let out anytime soon, so we would all have to stay inside. We all decided to change out of our wet clothes one at a time. In the middle of that, Mr. Aizawa came in to check on us. He was soaking wet, but he didn't seem to mind. We told him we were fine and he went to the other cabins. "What are we gonna do now?" Midoriya asked. "I'm going to sleep, losers," Bakugo said as he went into the bedroom and closed the door. "Classic Baku bro," Kaminari stated. "Well, what's the plan?" Ida asked. We were all pretty bored and there wasn't much to do. We all sat in silence, thinking of things to do. After a bit Midoriya spoke. But not on the topic we expected. "Is Kaken okay?" he asked, looking directly at me. I was his roommate, so it was obvious he'd ask me. I looked at the bedroom door before looking at the group. I sighed. I should tell them. "I don't know," I spoke. "I've known about it for a while though. Before he. You know." Midoriya frowned. "I should have known." He started to tear up. "It isn't your fault. He hid it well," I said. "Then how'd you find out?" Ida asked. "I walked in on him crying in the bathroom. He was cutting," I said quietly. The room grew quiet as well. "I'm gonna take my leave." I sat up and went into the bedroom as well, leaving everyone to their thoughts. I got onto my hammock bed to lay down. I looked over at Bakugo, who was asleep. He looked to be having a nightmare. I sighed. This is either gonna be a really good field trip, or a really bad one, or something in between. Either way, I'm hoping for it to be good. So far the trip was going good if you don't count the rain, wind, and occasional large tree branch falling. Once it was almost an actual tree, but we all stopped it with our quirks. It still fell, but not in our direction. It felt awesome to fight the wind. Come at me, nature. Can't defeat me. But you know what can defeat me? Everyone in our class. I'm way behind because of my absence from training. We weren't fighting each other, but it was obvious they were all getting ahead. At the end of our 3rd day there, Aizawa gave everyone a thumbs up and told them how to improve. For them it was only short things like, make sure to account for how the wind and rain will affect Mina's acid attacks and sheet. But with me he told me more than everyone in the class. I'm FNG weak. I'm weak and everyone knows it. I stayed calm the rest of the day. Tried so hard not to break. When we were finally done, I went into the cabin with everyone else. They wanted to check on me and talk to me. See if I was okay because I had been particularly quiet. Because I knew if I spoke more I'd break down. Before any of them could talk to me, I made my way to the bathroom and locked the door. I melted to the floor and cried silently, knowing if I were any louder they would hear me. Shit, why was I so terrible? Why can't I get any better? Why am I so weak? I kept silently crying. I subconsciously dug my fingernails into my palms, harder and harder until they started bleeding. The blood dripping onto the floor. God damn it, why am I such a f-up? I yelled quietly. Not quiet enough, as I immediately heard knocking on the door. The pounding of the door was light and quiet, but it rung in my ears and collided with my heartbeat, making it faster. I'm suffocating. I can't breathe. I crawl away from the door. The pounding is still loud. Blood from my palms dripping onto the floor. I cover my ears from the pounding. Blood from my palms getting on my ears. I try to dig deeper into my palms, causing more blood. Everything is suffocating me. I'm sweating and shaking. Sheet. Why is the room spinning? Todoroki's POV. Is Bakugo going to be okay? As class president, it is my duty to help everyone. And as his friend, it is also my duty to help him. Ida stated. I'm sure Kaken is fine and just wants to be left alone for a little while. Midoriya tried to sound optimistic. I walk over and lean against the wall, shrugging when I hear it. God damn it, why am I such a f-up? Comes Bakugu's voice from the bathroom. I walk over to the door and knock on it as slowly and calmly as I can. There's no answer. Bakugu. Still no answer. I look at everyone worried. They all share the same look. I knock again, this time a little louder. I raise my voice a little. Bakugu? Still not answer. Midoriya walks over and uses his hand and quirk to blast the door open. When he does and we look into the bathroom, the sight is horrifying. Bakugu is in the middle of the bathroom on his knees, shaking and hyperventilating. His hands are bloody along with his ears and parts of his hair. Drops of blood are scattered around the floor leading up to him. Before everyone can go up to him, I hold them back. Let me. All of us will just overwhelm him. They quickly nodded and I walked into the bathroom, closing the door. Hey, Katsuki. I say quietly. He either ignores me or can't hear me. I walk over to him and bend down. I slowly wrap my hands around him and put his head to my chest. Bakugu, listen to my breathing. I make sure he can hear me. I breathe in and out slowly and calmly. We stay like that for more than a few minutes. Bakugu finally calmed and isn't shaking anymore. His breathing was also normal. Katsuki, I say. Shuto. He leans his face deeper into my chest. What happened? There was silence before he answered. I feel weak. I'm behind everyone. I can't do this. He'll continue to get weaker if he keeps doing that to his hands. Katsuki. I slowly pulled him away from me and looked into his eyes. He looked at mine. You are not weak. You're the strongest person I've ever had the chance of meeting. No matter if you think you're weak or helpless. To me you are strong and confident. And you always will be. And I'll do everything in my power to help you realize that. Because things will get better. Before I could tell what was happening, Bakugu's lips quickly crashed into mine. And they left as quick as they arrived. I'm sorry. I was just I stopped listening. And I fully understood. Why I care so much about him. Why I want him to be happy. I mean, I want Midoriya to be happy, but not like this. But I get it now. And I'm dense. I crashed my lips back into his. Yeah, I like him. No, I love him. And I never want to let go of him. After the kiss, the rest of the field trip went smoothly. I mostly stayed at Katsuki's side and helped him train a little more when we finished. It was hard for him because his palms were bandages from when he made them bleed. Which also meant he couldn't dig his nails into them, which was good. He didn't have any more panic or anxiety attacks the rest of our time there, also good. The ride back was nice. It was just me and Katsuki in a seat in the middle of the bus with Midoriya in the aisle seat and me in the middle with Katsuki in the window seat. Instead of leaning on the window seat, he leaned onto my shoulder. Which made my heart skip a beat because he was so cute. Katsuki closed his eyes. Guess he was going to sleep. I smiled. We haven't really talked about the kiss. We just had a silent agreement that we'd talk later. Later just wasn't now. It'll probably be in the dorms a day or two after we get there. We wouldn't exactly hide this relationship either, so everyone questioned it. Midoriya turned and looked at us. Everyone who was in our cabin could tell we had something going on. Again, that wasn't a secret. Especially because Kaminari and Ida kept asking. But Midoriya just stayed silent and gave me a thumbs up. I'm glad he isn't jealous or anything after I rejected him at the sleepover. After a few minutes, I slowly raised my hand up to wave in front of Katsuki's face and see if he was asleep. He cutely scrunched his nose, so I'm guessing he was asleep. I leaned comfortably and looked out the window for a bit before closing my eyes and drifting off to sleep, leaning against his head. When I woke up, the first thing I heard was a bunch of people going silent and looking at me and Katsuki, who was still asleep. I looked at them, confused. What's going on? I asked, rubbing the sleep out of my eyes. Dude, I called it. Kaminari laughed. Was I still dreaming? You guys looked so cute. Mina groaned, saddened at me waking up. I was too confused to say anything. What did they mean? Check it out, I took a picture. Hagakure said, showing her phone to everyone on the bus. The picture was of me and Katsuki. Him leaning on my shoulder, dreaming and smiling, and me tilted on his head, also smiling and dreaming of him. I blushed a little. So what's been going on with you two? Shiro asked from the back seat. I couldn't turn because Katsuki still leaned in my shoulder and I'll be dead if I wake him and his cute face up. So instead I looked down at my hands. Nothing's important. I tell them. Lies. Yaoyorozu almost shouted. You can't just tell us nothing is happening when clearly you two if each other and have a faint blush whenever you talk. Jairu intervened from beside Yaoyorozu. Exactly. Like you and Yaoyorozu. Ida states, causing the two girls to blush and stammer, and the class to erupt into laughter, which caused the sleeping Katsuki to wake up. The hell is all this noise? He yawns cutely. Everything he does is cute though. Even when we're fighting villains, and he yells his usual, die, at them. All I can see is his chubby cheeks that I just want to squeeze the life out of. So I'm in love with Bakugo Katsuki. A statement I found out only a few ago that I'm subtly getting used to. Plus with all the stuff Bakugo have been doing, I'd say he likes me too. Which makes me happy. Hagakure showed him the picture of us. He grabbed my arm and got close to me, causing me to blush as he said, "So what?" I was tired and he's fine with it. Right, Shudo? I nodded. Oh, we're on a first-name basis now. Uraraka giggled. And? So are you telling us in your own special way that you and Todoroki here are dating? Kirishima laughed. His face flushed red. I mean, he isn't. Not telling you that. I spoke. My face I could feel was getting hotter and redder. There were a few squeals and high fives. So who told who? Yaoyorozu asked. I guess Katsuki. He was the one who kissed me. I said plainly. Kaminari handed Ida some money. Tsu did the same with Tokoyami and Kirishima did the same to Midoriya. You guys places bets on who would confess first? Katsuki almost yelled. Like Jairu said, we been new. Mina laughed. So Kaminari, Tsu, and Kirishima thought I would confess first? I asked aloud to no one in particular. There were multiple nods and people agreeing with it. The rest of the trip was just all of us talking about relationships. As weird as it was, half the class had someone they liked. Like Kirishima liking Midoriya. It was very obvious. As well as Jairu and Yaoyorozu and Kaminari and Ida. You guys should go on double dates. Uraraka joked. Honestly, I'd be up for it. Jairu said, blushing and clashing her ear jacks together. Yaoyorozu silently agreed by giving a thumbs up. I looked at Katsuki. He shrugged. I wouldn't mind. I smiled. He smiled back. Arriving back was good. We all unpacked our things in our dorms and sheet. It was pretty peaceful. We had to have the talk about our relationship though. When it was finally time to have the relationship talk, I surprising felt ready. I liked Todoroki. He liked me. That was obvious. So there won't be any problems with it, right? How was the conversation even supposed to start? Todoroki sat beside me on the couch I was on. He looked at me and smiled a little. I smiled back. I couldn't help it. His smile is contagious. So, I start. I like you. He nods. You like me? He nods and smiles again. I like you. He responds. To cut to the chase. Want to go on a date? Todoroki bluntly asked. I smiled and nodded. Of course, you idiot. I replied. He laughed. What? I asked. You look cute. My face turned red. I am not. I yelled. He laughed at me and I threw a couch pillow at him. He was shocked at first, but then he playfully threw it back and hit me in the face. He laughed at me again. I threw it playfully back at him. It landed on the top of his head and slid down onto the floor. Which made me laugh. We both started laughing. It was a good night. And a short conversation. Today I dressed as casual and nice as I could. Mina helped me pick out an outfit because today me and Shudo are going on a date. And a double date. Shudo told me the plan was for me and him and Yaoyorozu and Jairu go on a double date to a restaurant. The richer paying. And then go out separate ways to go do something else you do on a date. Like go to the movies. Does that count as 2 dates? Am I going on 2 dates on the same day? Anyways, after Mina helped me finish my outfit, Mina walks me to the elevator and wishes me luck on my date. What are you, my mom? I scoff. Though she was a better mom than my actual mom. When I get downstairs I see the 3 are already ready for the double date. I hope I didn't take too long. Have fun, Kirishima announces from the couch. And be back by at least 12 o'clock. Ida used his hand motions, which I rolled my eyes to. We'll be back when we get back. The four of us headed out the door. So are we walking there? Jair asked, which I wanted to know as well. The richer of us had planned the entire date, so they probably planned to go somewhere super fancy. No, we're driving there. Yaoyorozu smiled. Who's driving? I asked. The chauffeur. Me and Jairu were visibly shocked. We get there rich but a whole but chauffeur. Are we riding in a limousine? My question was quickly solved when we saw a limo in the front of the school. This is too much. Jair said shocked. It's nothing. It's my personal chauffeur. Yaoyorozu laughs. Have you two ever been in a limo before? Shudo asked us. We both shook our heads no. Well, first time for everything. Yaoyorozu smiled. We got into the limo after the chauffeur opened the door for us. Which he really didn't have to do. Although being in the limo made me feel powerful. Like I was a rich a-hole instead of a regular a-hole. We all just talked nonchalantly. Sometimes Jairu and I tried to trick Yaoyorozu and Shudo into telling us where we were going. It was no use. When we finally arrived, it was a very fancy restaurant. Probably super expensive. The waiter walked us to a private booth away from most of the others there. The only other people there were old rich couples or regular, adult rich couples. So we got a few looks when entering. But as soon as they noticed it was Yaoyorozu and Todoroki, they turned their heads back and continued chatting with their dates. The waiter gave us our menus when we sat down. I opened it and immediately my eyes fell onto the prices. These were over $. What the F dash? Before I could verbally say this, Jair took the words out of my mouth. What the F dash? She almost shouted. Is something wrong? Yaoyorozu asked. Just look at all these prices. I spoke before Jairu could. They aren't expensive for us. It's alright, we're paying. Shudo joined in. DMN rich people. I say to myself and look back at the prices, I mean food. The pictures of the food did look delicious. And looking around I saw the people's plates look exactly like the picture, good sign. It's also a good sign that this place is super fancy though. After a few minutes of looking at the menu I tried to just order the cheapest thing there. But Shudo knew that wasn't what I really wanted and instead he ordered for me. He did get my order correct though. I did want the food but it was just so DMN expensive. While we waited for the food we all just talked about simple things and then complimented each other. If Shudo calls me cute one more time I'm throwing him across the room. But I've been getting back at him by calling him new, more creative names as well. He just laughs at them though. Finally the food arrived and Shudo and Yaoyorozu instantly dug in. Jairu and I were hesitant. This food is so expensive and it looks so good. When we finally start eating I see Jairu's face light up. Her food must have been tasty. Mine was equally as good as hers. At least that's what my facial expression told everyone. We continued to eat and talk. It was nice. I was truly happy with Shudo and the others and I had a lot of fun. When we finished eating, Shudo and Yaoyorozu split the bill and then we went our separate ways. Jairu and Yaoyorozu going on their date and Shudo and I on ours. So where are we going? I asked him, expecting to get an answer this time. Well, I had a lot of trouble picking out where to go. I know you probably don't want anything too basic and too huge. Nope. But this is a first date, so what do I expect? I expected him to continue talking, but he doesn't say anything else. When we finally arrive, then we're at the park. During the day, it's just an ordinary park with a tiny fountain in the middle that little kids waste their parents' money on, trees that kids sometimes try to climb, park benches for their parents, and street lanterns that are turned off because it's day. But I've never been here at night. And at night it's a totally different experience. The street lanterns give off a soothing, kind of romantic aura in the chilly night, which combined with the silver moonlight made the fountain water shine. It was honestly kind of perfect. What's with that cute expression? Shudo asked. I responded with another, I'm not cute. Which he giggled too. But I was shocked at how appealing it was. I was probably blushing. Shudo grabbed my hand and took me to a bench near the fountain. Sometimes when I was younger, and even now, when things get too much, I sneak out here to just calm down and get away. He slides down the bench a bit and looks up at the stars. I look at him. I can't help but smile. I think it's perfect. I tell him. Katsuki. He looks me in the eye, a soft expression on his face. I really like you. He tells me. I really like you too. I respond. He sits up. I hate that he's taller than me, but whatever. Right now he just looks really pretty. Katsuki. I love you. He tells me. I sit there shocked for a few seconds. That's the first time he said that to me. That's the first time he said that to me. That's the first anyone has a tie said that to me in a very long time. What do I say? What do I do? I know from the overwhelming amount of heat rising to my face that I'm blushing redder than Shudo's left side. Finally I mustered something out of my mouth. I love you too, Shudo. I smile. We move closer to each other and share a kiss. It's passionate and lasts for a few minutes before we finally stop. I check the time. It's almost so we just sat there in silence. Sometimes we just look at each other and smile until we felt it was time to go. When we arrived back, it was at least a few minutes after we expected Ida to be asleep, but he was just sitting in the kitchen looking at us as we entered the door. Are Yaoyorozu and Jairu with you too? He simply asks. He looks very tired. We shake our heads, not knowing what to say. Ida sighs deeply. We don't know what to do, so we just go while he looks back at the door. Before we went into our dorm, Shudo stopped us at the door. Usually with stuff like this, I drop you off and then go back to my home. But since this is both our homes, he trails off. Before he can say anything else, I lift myself up a little and give him a small peck on his soft lips. He blushes and smiles. Yeah, he says, and tries to reach for the doorknob without looking. He leans in and hits the door before looking and opening it. I can't help but laugh. Before we go into our separate rooms, he looks at me again. I love you. I tell him. He smiles. I love you too. I was back at therapy for the 5th time. It has been a month since Shudo and I's first date. We have gone on 3 other dates, and now I'm explaining the last one to Ms. Reiki. She seems really glad that I'm happy, and I'm also happy. So, Bakugu, you aren't having any doubt about anything? She asks. I have plenty of doubt about a lot of things. I tell her. You seem genuinely happy with this Todoroki boy. She smiles. I nod because I am. And I know he genuinely loves me and is happy too. I mean, he's right outside in the lobby right now. Have you been thinking about suicide or self-harm since our last meeting? Which was a week ago. I lean into the couch and think. Over the past month I have had some pretty bad mental breakdowns and had to be reminded and remind myself that I can't and won't be able to get over this overnight. I'm learning to be patient, which is a weird thing for me because I'm Bakugu ng Katsuki. But over the past week I was too focused on schoolwork and my boyfriend to think of anything like self-harm. So I nod my head no. She smiles. That's very good. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me? Anything on your mind? I look at her. At the end of our sessions she always asks if there is anything else on my mind, related or not. There has been a lingering thought though that I haven't yet told Ms. Reiki. But now I'm ready to. Yeah. About a month ago I tried to commit suicide because I had a mask on. The mask hid my sadness and pain from everyone around me. And when Shudo caught me cutting in a bathroom, the mask began to crack. And over time it gradually cracked more until I couldn't hold it up anymore and it broke into pieces. I felt overwhelmed and thought the only way out was. I thought that the mask being broken was a bad thing. But it's actually a really good one. Because I've been unmasked and I've never felt better. I got lost in thought, and when I looked back at Ms. Reiki, she almost had tears in her eyes. Did I say something wrong? She nodded her head furiously. The fact that you put so much thought into that analogy shows so much progress in such little time. At your pace you probably won't have to see me anymore within a year. She laughs. I laugh with her. A year? What if I don't want to stop seeing you? I ask. She looks at me with a confused expression on her face. I just mean. I like our sessions. They're nice and comfortable. Of course, Bakugu. We can continue talking as long as you want. Todoroki's POV. When Katsuki finished his session, we got into the car while we waited for Mr. Aizawa to finish talking to his therapist. How was it? I asked Katsuki. He takes a deep breath. It was fine, Shudo. Like always. I can tell he is getting a little tired of me always asking how it went, but I can't help it. I just want to make sure he's okay. He is doing a lot better. I give him a small kiss on the cheek and he smiles. Katsuki. Yes. I'm a very lucky person. He laughs and I see a small blush on his face. Shudo. Yeah. You are lucky. I couldn't help but to laugh as Aizawa gets in the car's driver's seat. No PDA in my car. He sighed as he started the vehicle and drove back to UA. The entire ride was silent except for the occasional sigh from Aizawa when a driver did something he didn't like. When we finally arrived back at the dorms, Aizawa dropped us off and left. We walked inside and were met with Kirishima telling us not to forget about movie night tonight. We went up to our dorm and just hung out and kissed occasionally. I really was happy. My parents still don't know about what I'm struggling through. They haven't even contacted me for a long while. The thought that they forgot about me lingers in the back of my mind, so I occasionally send a text here or there. When I check, they are always left on read, though they probably never even read them. I sigh. Time passed so quickly and now it's time to go downstairs and watch a movie with the class. Shudo and I go down together to watch the movie. Everyone else is already down and they saved a spot on the couch for us. Todoroki sits down and I sit in his lap while he puts his arms around me. I sigh contently as Uraraka puts the movie on. Who knew being unmasked was so great? This was a very big day. After being together for 5 years, Shoto proposed to me. And I said yes. And now we're getting married. I'm so FING nervous. I checked the guest list again to see who RSVP'd. Even though Shoto said I should try to, I didn't invite my parents. They were probably not gonna show up anyways. My best men, Kirishima, Kaminari, and Siro, were in the background trying to cheer me up. I wasn't sad, I was just very, very nervous. I hadn't seen Shoto all day as well because of the stupid superstition that it's bad luck. Since my parents aren't showing up, Aizawa agreed to walk me down the aisle. I flopped onto the couch in the room, which made Ida, who was also here with Deku, yell at me about how my all-white with a black bow tie suit would get dirty. He hasn't changed a bit. I took deep breaths and tuned everyone out. If I hadn't, I would have had an anxiety attack and that would SCK on my wedding day. Hey Kaken. Deku tapped me on the shoulder. I grunted in response. Someone wants to see you. He nervously tells me, pointing to the tent exit. We were at a vineyard inside tents. The chairs set up and people still coming in. I was ecstatic to see that Ms. Reiki could make it with her girlfriend. I could also tell Shudo was happy that his mother was there. Tell them they can see me when we finish the ceremony. I continued looking at the guest list. Kaken, they want to see you now. They can wait. No, Kaken, they can't. Who is the fucker that can't wait till after the wedding to see me dash? I look up. Now I know why. On the outside of the tent I see my mom and dad. All dressed up for the wedding. Todoroki's POV. I take a deep breath. I saw Katsuki's parents come in and I'm so nervous. He had told me not to invite them, but I felt it would be better if they showed up. So I secretly invited them. Currently I was talking with Ms. Reiki and her girlfriend. After all 5 years I never met her. She was very nice and knew everything about me from what Katsuki told her. I fixed up my tux. Black and white like a normal one. Though Katsuki joked about me getting it in red and white. I considered it before he told me he was joking. Ida and my brother, Natsuo, who I had grown closer to over the years, are my best men. I can't believe my little brother is getting married before me. Natsuo whined, making Ida and I laugh. I'm sure you will find someone soon. Ida told him. Finally, the ceremony is starting. I'm at wooden altar covered in white roses. White flower petals in a line leading up to me. Then the music starts playing. And I see Katsuki walk out of his tent. This is the first time I'm seeing him today and he looks absolutely gorgeous. His white tuxedo really suits him. But the thing that really makes me happy is that he has a huge smile on his face. Almost in tears. Because both Aizawa and his father, Masaru, are walking him down the aisle. I can't help but smile wider. In front of them is 10-year-old Eri. She's the flower girl. After Midoriya and the others saved her, she grew close to Mirio, Aizawa, and all of us in Class 1. She happily threw the flowers in the air, smiling brightly in her appealing soft pink dress with flower designs. Aizawa and Katsuki's dad let him go and took their seats. Katsuki looked at me and mouthed a soft, "Thank you." I nodded. Then we started. "We gather here to unite these two people in marriage." He kept talking and I kind of tuned him out. Plus I was staring into Katsuki's eyes, and how could I not get distracted? Now for the rings. Kaminari gave us our rings. I took a deep breath and wrapped my hands around Katsuki's. Then I spoke from the bottom of my heart. "Katsuki, years ago when I was in a tough place, I thought I'd never find happiness. And if someone told me that I'd be this happy today to be getting married to you, I wouldn't believe them. But now I'm here. I'm so happy to be getting married to you. And I'm so happy that you are happy and here today. I really couldn't be happier. Because I love you." I was aware I had repeated myself, but I was just too happy to think of anything else besides happiness. I take his ring and slowly slide it on his ring finger. Now it's his turn. Shudo. When I was in a bad place, in the darkness, I never ever thought I'd make it out. I thought no one cared. And I was scared and alone. But then when you walked into that bathroom, my life changed. I changed. For the better. And I'm also happy and so deeply in love with you. You brought me light when I thought there was only darkness. You helped me climb out of the abyss I was sinking deeper into. I'm so grateful for you and I really, really love you. I could tell he was holding back tears. In all honesty, I was too. He slid my ring on my finger. A perfect fit. From the perfect partner. Do you, Shudo Todoroki, take this man, Bakugo Katsuki, as your lawfully wedded husband, to love, protect, and defend, in sickness and in health, for as long as you both shall live? I do. Do you, Bakugo Katsu dash? I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you, husband and husband. You may now kiss the dash. He was interrupted a second time as we were already kissing. People stood and clapped, but I didn't listen, acknowledge, or register any of it. All I was focused on was Katsuki and his soft lips pressed against mine. Shudo Bakugo and Katsuki Bakugo. The Bakugus. I really like that. Especially since I don't have my father's surname anymore. Wedding pictures were such a chore. Finally, after everything, it's time for our honeymoon. We are going to a place in America called Las Vegas. The airplane ride was fine. We had a discussion on the plane. Katsuki said he was happy that his mother and father came to the wedding. Told me they had apologized for neglecting him and never knowing. Promised they'd be in his life more from now on. He thanked me and told me it was a risky move too, punching my arm for not telling him. Arriving at Las Vegas was a trip. It was difficult to find a nice place to stay, as our honeymoon suite had been canceled somehow when we arrived. We managed to find another one though. The honeymoon suite was nice and rose petals filled the bed in the shape of a heart. A waste of roses. We aren't going to pick those off the floor when we knock them down. Katsuki groaned. I laughed as we set our bags down. Katsuki sat on the bed. I sat next to him and gave him soft kisses. Then before I knew it, I made my way down to his neck. We undressed and went from there, letting our hands guide us.